Half a shout. Well, started off so well. Partnerships are 31, 31 and 56. And now Surrey have lost 3 quick wickets on the bounce. 123 for 3. Turns to 131 for 6.
It's brought Izzy Sidhu to the crease a bit prematurely. Only her second 50 over game for Surrey.
Good looking shape from Jemima Spence, who gets it all the way through. And it's going to trickle all the way to the ropes for 4. And that is a glorious cover drive from Jemima Spence.
Yeah, really nice bit of cricket. Beat the fielders. And Surrey needed that boundary.
Lovely weight transfer into the ball and a nice high front elbow. Textbook cover drive. Full leg side and flicked away from Spence, who's going to come back for 2. I reckon no. She says no, perhaps slightly scared of running out yet another one of her batting partners. Is it a new screen? Yes. Welcome back to anybody who was watching the stream earlier. We just had some technical difficulties, so I had to reset the stream. Full toss, driven away, and it's a good hand in the covers. Oh, definitely saved 2 runs. So we had some technical difficulties where the audio is slightly out of sync with the visuals, which you may have noticed. So we've reset the stream and we're back, and we believe it's all working as it should now. So welcome back. In the last few overs we've seen some quick wickets fall, and Surrey, who were 123 for 3, now 138 for 6. Sidhu just playing down the wrong line, wrapped on the pad. And just before we restarted the stream, we were talking about bat gauges. And you were mentioning, Polly, how these bats which are confiscated go into bat prison. And I'll read you the official line. It says, if a bat fails, this is from the official umpire's handbook, if a bat fails the test on field, the bat shall be secured in the umpire's room immediately. At close of play or at the first available and suitable break, the player shall be invited into that room and may be accompanied by their captain. It sounds like going to the headmaster's room.
Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah, because hopefully you could get the bat back and then get it shaved down or whatever, or just I don't know. It's a shame to lose a bat. They're expensive. As Villiers is in, and that's well cut off by a diving and rolling Abby Glenn. Yeah, I think with the stuff at the start of the early season, I won't mention the brand, but it was a specific brand of bat. That was the common theme with the issue. So maybe a manufacturing problem, as this is chipped up in the air, will fall safely. Sorry, 139 for 6. Just one taken. Villiers in, and that's prodded straight back to her. Izzy Sidhu on strike. Villiers coming round the wicket, and it's been driven, but no run available. 139 for 6. A good over from Maddie Villiers. Sidhu driving straight. It will just find mid-on. So, end of the over, 139 for 6. Jemima Spence, 9 from 17. And Izzy Sidhu, 2 from 6.
Yeah, Maddie Villiers has been the difference so far in this game. She came into the attack and immediately started causing problems. She dismissed Bryony Smith, caught and bowled for 20, just when she was looking a bit dangerous. She then got the other danger bat with Alice Davison Richards, caught by the skipper for 26, and just while we were briefly offline, she picked up Ailish Cranston LBW, and of course she was also involved in the run out of Paige Schofield, so she's done absolutely everything today, Maddie Villiers. Spence flicked away. She is going to come back for 2 this time. She was looking a little tetchy on the running a couple of overs ago, but got back that confidence after leaving her batting partner Schofield in the dirt on her first delivery.
The way Villiers has bowled today, I just think that's someone who really wants to play in the test, not just be in the squad, but play her way into that 11.
Leg side wide. I love the way that Grace Thompson runs in.
Yeah.
With her high knees,
Yeah.
her hands right up by her chest. It's almost like a high jumper running in.
Yeah.
Very bouncy, right on her toes. She's tall, a tall woman as well, that a high release point, generating that extra bit of bounce. Jemima Spence looking to favour the leg side heavily here. It's a tight offside field. Although Emily Windsor now coming out of the covers. Being pushed out just in front of our ground staff, Vic Domain and co. Vic's got his fedora on again. It's brilliant. He's on holiday mode. Good length. And it's a misfield from Maddie Villiers, who could do no wrong. But it's just slid straight past one there. And I'll bring Izzy Sidhu back on strike. It looks like Thompson's going to come over the wicket to the left-hander, just pushing the ball across her on the angle. It's full. And driven back. And you said Maddie Villiers has bowled brilliantly. It's been her lengths which have been so good. She's given it a bit of flight, bringing the batters forward, and then just dropped it slightly back, and they haven't been able to get there, and chipped a couple up in the air. She's hardly gone for any runs as well, just 13 from her 7 overs. That one's flicked away for a single. When these sides met at the Oval, it was Rihanna McDonald-Gay who was the difference maker. And today we've only seen just over a quarter of this match, but Maddie Villiers already making the difference. Well, Jemima Spence on strike is another potential difference maker. 3 half-centuries in her last 4 outings. Currently off 12 off her first 30. A couple of beautiful cover drives, as is that one, but it's well cut out by the skipper, and that's the end of the over. 1 wide from it and 4 off the bat. Surrey 144 for 6, as we see our wonderful ground staff and Vic in his fedora. That's a man enjoying life. Sunnies on, fedora on, socks and shoes off.
I do just love that he has his deck chair. No one else can go on it.
Well,
everyone else has to sit on the normal chairs.
He shared it with Ryan Campbell last week.
I never thought I'd see the day.
Both of them sitting on it at the same time. It's quite cute, actually. Very sweet moment.
Normally he seems quite territorial over it. But I like that there's clearly a status to sitting on that chair. As Villiers is in and there's an appeal, but it's kind of half-hearted.
That's the length. And she's generating so much spin on the ball that it's dipping, and I think that's the problem. for the batters is they think it's there on the half volley and it just dips and bounces a bit more than they're expecting.
Villiers round the wicket, and that's played straight back to her by Sidhu.
So by the time they're coming through the shot on the half volley and it just pitches a bit short, they're through the shot, and that's when they start hitting it up in the air.
Villiers in, and that's been slapped by Sidhu, but straight to mid-off. Sorry, 144 for 6. 3 dot balls in this over from Villiers. 3 for 13 so far in 8th over. And there's a reverse by Sidhu, but it's really well stopped by the pouncing Trudy Johnson. No run available, but a sign from Sidhu that she's got some shots in her locker.
Yeah, she's just hit it too square, because even if that was to beat the ring, there's Emily Windsor sweeping on the cover boundary. But if she can just get it finer, well, there's no one covering at fine legs, so it would race away.
Yeah, they've brought Johnson a tiny bit finer as that's been driven, but we'll find mid-on.
Oh, there's some wonderful food options appearing in front of us. Absolutely glorious looking. I can see some broccoli, see some potatoes.
So that's been played by Sidhu just for the one run.
Unfortunately, he's sitting in an area where our cameras can't access him. I think he knows what he's doing.
Sorry, 145 for 6 after 29. So 1 run from the over. Excellent from Villiers again. He was stood out as a crucial player in this innings.
So it'll be Trudy Johnson back into the attack. She started off the innings from the Finkel end. She got through 3 overs for 18. But now she's bowling at this middle to lower order. And we wondered whether we would see Laura Harris come in at 9 or come in earlier. Well, we're down to number 8 and we haven't seen her yet. Mia Rogers standing up to the stumps as well, just making sure Izzy Sidhu stays in her crease. If she does wander out and the stumping opportunity becomes available, it's something we're seeing in world cricket quite a lot recently, and in the women's game especially. Mia Rogers has worked hard on her glove work over the winter. She was of course kept out of the side through the first block of fixtures. But since she's got her chance, she's hit some good scores and she's kept really well, which has afforded her a surprise wildcard draft in the 100. She'll be in Manchester for the duration of July and August, which is something obviously she's delighted about. She'll be playing and training alongside some really top class players. It's been great for the women's game, the 100. There have been some mixed opinions. On the competition in general, but for the women's game especially, it's offered up much more money to the players and loads of eyes on the game as well.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one because I can very much see arguments on both sides. I think the thing that it did for the women's game was, for a lot of players, it was their first opportunity at a bit of professionalism, actually, when the first year happened. And, you know, that was such a big step, and also to the opportunity for the players to play in grounds when there are thousands of people watching, that had never happened before unless they played international cricket. And so for players to be able to experience that before going on to play international cricket, they get used to that pressure. They get used to people wanting their autograph, all those sort of extra things.
There's a lot of power behind that from Izzy Sidhu to finish the over. It's just 2 from it. 20 overs to go here. Surrey 147 for 6. Durham will be happy with where they've got the visitors at the minute. I think there were maybe some expectations that this Surrey batting lineup could steal the game away from them early, but that's certainly not happened. And Maddie Villiers has been key to that, and she's going to continue from the Finkel end.
Yeah, it's a slightly different Surrey side to the one that was perhaps put out at the start of the season. And I guess the thing for Durham is they have had relative consistency to some extent with the players they've had available. Of course, Catherine Fraser and Lauren Filer off at the World Cup. But generally, they've had a similar group of players, whereas for Surrey, it's all been chopped and changed. I think they're missing at least 5 or 6 players with World Cup or England A, as Villiers is in, and that's been scooped by Jemima Spence. She'll just get 1 run. Katie Levick doing the work. Fine leg. Sorry, 148 for 6.
So to come after this, Harris, Miles, Gregory. Laura Harris, of course, the big name there. A storied cricketing career so far, as we see Heather Graham just coming into a catching straight mid-off.
Villiers in, played straight back to her. That field in nice and tight. So do 5 from 20. Spence 14 from 23.
Just a mid-over discussion, and Jemima Spence looks slightly animated.
Villiers in. It's played along the ground by Sidhu. Just 1 from this over. Sidhu going to reverse, unsuccessful though. And Mia Rogers will pick up the ball.
It's a shot she has played well so far, and if she gets it right, it's definitely a boundary option.
Sidhu in, and has hands on heads. It's popped up.
Yeah, Villiers will like the look of that. A lot of turn and some extra bounce makes it very difficult for Rogers behind the sticks. It's good signs for the offie.
Sidhu plays this into the ground. There is a misfield, and they think about taking the run, but don't in the end. And that ends the over. So just 1 run from that first ball, but otherwise dot balls from Maddie Villiers. Sorry, 148 for 6.
Now, you've been watching a lot of Women's World Cup, Polly. Somehow, you managed to watch 5 matches live in the flesh over the course of 2 days.
Yeah.
How on earth did you manage that?
It was absolute madness. So 6:30 p.m. on Friday the 12th of June was at Edgbaston for England, Sri Lanka.
There's
then
one.
Bright and early the next morning, drove up to Old Trafford for Scotland versus Ireland at 10:30. And then at 2:30 it was South Africa versus Australia.
Same ground?
Same ground, yeah. Then...
That's 3 games.
Yeah, that evening drove back to Birmingham.
Straight from Johnson and flicked away for a single from Spence.
And
so that's 3 games.
Yeah, 3 games. then the next morning, headed to Edgbaston, 10:30.
Where did you stay that night?
In Birmingham.
In Birmingham, right, okay.
Yeah. So I'd gone back, so did Manchester in a day, go back to Birmingham, 10:30, there for Bangladesh, Netherlands, and then 2:30 at Edgbaston, India, Pakistan, which was the maddest atmosphere ever. So by that evening, we got home, I can't remember what time, but I was absolutely shattered.
I just think so. Have you worked out how many runs and wickets you saw over that stretch?
Oh, that is a great question. Maybe that's for my journey home.
There's probably a Guinness World Record somewhere in amongst that.
There must be. At the end of the tournament, I will calculate all the games that I've been to, how many wickets, how many runs, all that sort of thing. Because it will be a lot, I suspect.
Driven. And a quick single. Spence slightly hesitant to set off. Maybe been a bit freaked out by the running between the wickets, but that single does bring up the 150 for Surrey. It's come just a touch over 31 overs. And we're just under 20 overs to play. If they've got enough wickets in the shed, I imagine Jemima Spence might start to get a little creative. Laura Harris in next. Tell me about that last game. What you mentioned, the atmosphere was crazy.
Yeah, so almost 19,000 people at Edgbaston.
Amazing.
I would say most people were either wearing an India or Pakistan shirt, which was brilliant. So, very, very partisan there. A lot of India fans. I would say a few more than the Pakistan fans. But yeah, brilliant atmosphere. Just the way I described it was every time India ran a single, the fans cheered as if India had won the World Cup, as if these were the winning runs. So that was really, really cool. But yeah, so many people, when I was walking around talking about the game, knew the players were so invested in it. And that was cool. I was at Edgbaston 4 years ago during the Commonwealth Games for India-Pakistan, but this just felt 10 times bigger.
Lovely looking try from Spence. Straight to Armitage. It's a dot ball, 2 from the over, in an over which brought up the 150 for Surrey. They are 6 down. Don't know where that dog is. I'm always keen for a bit of dogs at the cricket. I think that dog may be very close to our microphone. I'm getting waved at by Stevie, our director. Oh, we've got it. Oh, there we go. Amazing. It doesn't look like a dog that should be barking that loudly, though.
It's like quite a sweet dog.
I can confirm it is right next to us as well. I don't think Stevie needs the effects mic to hear that. Dogs at the cricket. Big fan.
Izzy Sidhu on strike as Villiers comes back into the attack. That's prodded away for no run. But yeah, today I'm here, and then tomorrow down to Lords for England West Indies in the evening, and then the next day is Villiers is in, and that's reverse swept by Sidhu. That should be heading for 4. Levick is in pursuit, and in fact does really well to stop that just before the boundary. But that's great running from Jemima Spence and Izzy Sidhu as well.
That's what I've been saying regarding that shot. As soon as she just gets it finer, then it's going to run away. So you're getting full use out of your accreditation pass.
Oh, full use. And then off for Netherlands, South Africa at Bristol on Thursday, which should be a good one. Actually, going as a fan that time, because I want to sit with the Dutch fans and enjoy myself. Are they notorious? They are absolutely incredible. They have been brilliant. Obviously all in orange as Villiers in again, pulled away by Spence. We'll just get 1 for it. But yeah, it's mainly friends and family, but it's, Netherlands is the women's team's first time at the T20 World Cup, and with it being in England, it's not far for friends and family to pop over. So they've been brilliant. At Edgbaston, they were so fun and brought all the energy. So very excited for that. Sorry, 154 for 6.
I'm a big fan of this fielding position for Heather Graham.
Yeah. Villiers to Sidhu, who drives down the ground. No run on offer.
She's almost standing on the pitch. Probably not far off needing a helmet standing
yeah,
that
I was going to
close.
say. Sidhu chips this up but beats both fielders, and it'll be 4. That was a nice bit of cricket. Surrey 158 for 6.
I'll tell you what, that is some shot, because there was barely even a gap there between the 3 of them in the offside. She has pierced a gap that was hardly there.
Sphere Turner ended up tumbling to the ground. And as you say, George, just found that gap perfectly. 33 overs gone, 17 remain. Surrey 158 for 6.
Trudy Johnson to continue. Jemima Spence on strike. Going about our business a bit quietly at the minute. But the key to 50 over cricket is having wickets in the shed at the end. And Surrey will need Spence there at the end. 17 overs left to play. And as long as she's still there with 5 overs to go, then she can start to really throw her hands. As I said, 3 half centuries in her last 4 outings. She's in fine form. And Izzy Sidhu supporting her at the other end and going well herself. Partnership's key, as we've said. And after 3 failed partnerships in a row, this one now up to 23. They haven't handed out any chances for those runs either. Diving stop from Villiers. Limits it to just 1. It's a big old drive for you tomorrow then to get down to Lords. What time's that start?
It's not until 6:30, so it's not too bad. So yeah, back to Manchester tonight, then Manchester, Birmingham, Birmingham to London. Yeah, I'll find a time to sleep at some point.
Is this all on the Great British Public Transport?
Mix of car and train. So yeah, luckily no train disasters yet. Touch wood. But I do like delay repay, so I don't mind too much if my train's delayed.
Well, you just need 1 trip in an aeroplane, and then you'll have the title of a 1987 comedy. Aerial, and even Maddie Villiers couldn't get there. Flicked away to the mid-wicket boundary, and Jemima Spence moves into the 20s.
Spence looking to take this game on a bit, progress the innings. 16 overs left.
Six from the over so far. Driven down the ground by Spence, but can't beat the diving tubey grips of Grace Thompson. That brings an end. Does it bring an end? It should bring an end to the over.
I think everyone was waiting for the umpire to...
And eventually it does. Historically, I've not been fantastic at counting to 6, but on that occasion I was correct. And it's going to be another drinks break, which allows me to bring you a stat. Okay, so we've said that Maddie Villiers bowled exceptionally today. And from her 10 overs, she's taken 3 for 23, going at just 2.3 and over. 3 big wickets as well. Bryony Smith for 20. Alice Davison-Richards for 26. Ailish Cranston for 2. And 3 for 23. Now her List A career best bowling figures. Also involved in the run-out calamity between Jemima Spence and Paige Schofield. And I actually never went back to check if she was involved in the run-out calamity from a Durham perspective when they missed a run-out chance with both Davison Richards and who was it at the other end? Must have been Daliwa, I reckon.
Yes.
When they were both at the same end. So a drinks break, and Jemima Spence is looking a little weary in the heat, down on her haunches. She'll be getting some water. And
yeah, it's a really, really hot day out there, and Jemima Spence has been working hard between the wickets. She'll have a long second innings out there as well behind the stumps.
as you can see on the screen, with the purple headband on, both of them just taking on the fluids. They've both been out there for a while, 30 plus deliveries each, and for Spence, probably feeling the heat a little bit more, maybe. But it's hot in an all black outfit, long sleeve with the inners on, the helmet on. And it is important to stay hydrated today. If you are a Surrey fan tuning in, it may be slightly warmer with you down south, but for us in the northeast, we don't get this heat so often. Into the high 20s, it's going to peak around 29 today, into the 30s tomorrow. And this is an aspect of the game that it's difficult to appreciate when you're just watching. But when you're out in the middle, in the heat, literally, not just the heat of the battle, but the physical heat from the sun, that does take a toll on your energy levels and also mentally on your decision making.
Yeah, as soon as you get a bit weary, it's so easy to lose concentration. And we've seen that so many times throughout various games. And yeah, it's tough in this brutal heat when it's a long game. Sorry, 164 for 6, with Sidhu 14 from 32, Spence 21 from 33. And news from Bristol, where Scotland are playing New Zealand. Scotland have New Zealand 3 wickets down. Crucially, Mealy Kerr was out for 2, Sophie Devine out for 1. And so New Zealand need 106 runs to win from 14 overs. So looking all right for Scotland. And elsewhere, Lancashire 157 for 3 after 30 overs. Eve Jones has just reached a half century. And Yorkshire have been stubborn. They're 119 for 5, with Becky Duckworth and Sarah Glenn building a nice little partnership there against the Blaze. Playing in Chesterfield. Lancashire, I believe, are in Blackpool. A lovely place to be on a sunny day. So Katie Levick will be bowling after the drinks break, and there's a little tickle away down to the boundary. Heather Graham is speeding there, but the ball will win the race. And Sidhu starts with a 4 after the drinks break. Sorry, 168 for 6. Sidhu retaining the strike, and she's been bowled. Middle stump has left the ground, and Katie Levick has a wicket. Sidhu has to depart for 18 from 33. She had a nice little partnership with Jemima Spence. But that is the end for Sidhu, and Surrey go 7 wickets down.
I was just about to note how it's a change of end for Katie Levick. She's now bowling from the Finkel end, which has been the end which has caused the most problems. It's where the bowlers have had more success. And I just had a little look, and not a lot of help from the surface there. It's just coming from over the wicket across the left hand of Sidhu, and it's just held on the pitch a touch. It's really well bowled.
Katie Levick with her second wicket of the day, and Laura Harris will come to the crease, and I don't think she'll be able to play with the complete freedom and kind of smash and grab that she sometimes does. Needs to stick there, but she's swinging her arm around, limbering up.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it's an important innings this for her.
Definitely.
Wondered whether she might come in a bit earlier. She's not. She is coming in as carded at 9. She gets to bat with Jemima Spence, and between these two, they have the skill set to just drag this Surrey total beyond 200 and as close to 250 as they can get.
Harris on strike to face her first ball, and she's bowled. Katie Levick has 2 in 2, and that was poor from Laura Harris, just completely missed it. And that's great from Levick. Laura Harris just left leg stump exposed, and Katie Levick right on target. Harris goes for naught, and that is a huge blow for Surrey, who really needed her to stay there. She wasn't trying to play a crazy shot or anything. Just moved out the way. And Katie Levick with absolute ease. Her third wicket, and she's now on a hat-trick.
Early in your innings, you just want to play straight. Hit bat on ball. Don't mess about. But Harris has played right across the line to a straight one, and the ball's not done anything. Yes, she's been bowled round her legs, but it's not turned. Harris has simply just walked so far across her stumps that she's left middle of the leg stump completely open, and it just slides on through without any help from the surface. Harris has missed a straight one, and she has to go for a first ball duck.
Bethan Miles, the new batter, will be on strike for the hat-trick ball. There's a slight applause from players and spectators alike to build up the suspense, but this one played into the ground and safely put away.
I don't think I've ever seen that before on a cricket field. The players clapping with their hands above their head like a long jumper, trying to gee up the crowd. I've never seen that before.
Me neither. There's a slip in place as Levick's in again, and really tight from Levick.
That's a very full ball to be going back to, and you're just asking for it to, as a bowler, to slide on.
Levick in again. Miles looks to try and guide this away, but can only reach point. So that ends a superb over for Katie Levick. She was hit before off the first ball by Izzy Sidhu, but then back-to-back wickets to dismiss Izzy Sidhu and Laura Harris, and then 3 dot balls to finish the over. Surrey 168 for 8.
Change of bowling. It's going to be Sophia Turner taking the ball from the Lumley end. She's bowled 2 so far. They've both been fairly expensive. She's gone for 19. She's bowling to the in-bat of Jemima Spence. And Durham, who are well on top. They're in control of this game. Won't want to release any of that pressure. It's a very spread field on the leg side. Very happy to offer up the single for Spence. It's dabbed into the offside, and there are times during this game when I reckon they could have tried to take a single, but Spence happy to keep the strike. Mia Rogers just readjusting her helmet. Maybe even letting some sweat out. If it's a hot day, she's been under that lid. 35 overs straight. Full right in the block call. That's well bowled by Turner. And it'll be interesting to see the approach that Spence takes here. She's batting with the tail. And they're just coming down for a little word here. And they've done this a few times. It's not something I see often. The old mid-over catch-up. And I wonder what that conversation was. Whether they're going to set off for a quick single, or maybe there are plenty of twos on offer as well. And there it is, just dabbed into the leg side. Are they going to come back for two? They're going to think about it and say no. And it's really good fielding out in the deep. Maddie Villiers doing the work. And I reckon that's what the chat was about. Because if we can get a wide view of the field, there's just massive gaps on the leg side. And plenty of space for Spence just to bunt it in on the edge of the ring and come back for two. On this occasion, she hit it slightly too well. And now there's a discussion between bowler and captain. They've got the number 10 on strike. I want to keep her there. But also, they're in the hunt for wickets. Yeah, it's still a fairly spread field. Third man and fine leg both back, as is deep square. Cut away. But well fielded from Trudy Johnson. And at this point, I imagine Polly, Durham will just be trying to wrap this up as quickly as possible.
Yeah, they know they're hunting for those final 2 wickets, and they'll be quite keen to have a low total to chase and get the work done with the bat.
It's well taken by Mia Rogers, standing up to the stumps. Having gone fairly expensively in her first 2 overs, Sophia Turner is just clawing back control. Just 1 from this over so far. And now I imagine Durham will be very happy if Miles does want to take the single. Although the field is still in tight. Short, pulled away, and they will take the single. Spence very happy to hair off to the other end and give Miles the strike, who now moves to 1 off 6. It's the end of the over, just 2 from it. A good over from Durham. And Surrey are 170 for 8.
I suspect Spence knows that she won't be able to do all the work by herself. She's going to have to build a nice partnership with Beth and Miles. They've still got 14 overs to bat. From Durham's perspective, though, they're very much in control here, and this is a very different Surrey side to the one that, as I say, was playing at the start of the season, and Durham will relish this opportunity because Surrey are a really strong side in all competitions, but are doing well in this competition. They're third at the moment, and they have had their fair share of losses, but Durham have had a bit of a losing run and want to rectify that as Levick is in, and that's blocked for no run. They don't want to throw away this chance. Miles 1 from 7. She looks to play that down the ground, but won't be able to get to the non-striker's end.
And Spence will be itching to get down to the other side. It's a very tight field. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the ring on the offside, and 3 in the ring on the leg side.
Levick in, and that has played the perfect straight bat.
Here we go. Here's another little meeting. I reckon Jemima Spence probably saying to her batting partner, just get me on striking. Give me a chance. Maybe she'll just be saying, block out the last 2 and I'll take the next one.
Flight from Levick. It's signalled a wide. So 4 dot balls and a wide from Levick in this over. 3 for 29 into her 7th over. Miles tries to guide this away, but will just find the skipper, Holly Armitage.
Now the field spreads. Singles on offer.
3 more fielders head towards the boundary as Levick is in, and that's worked into the leg side. Calls of yes, and they'll take the single. Surrey 172 for 8 after 37.
Now I must say, Polly, that I'm very surprised by this. Miles now has faced 9 deliveries in a row. She'll be facing her 10th and onwards in this next over, and that's the second over in a row where she's taken the single off the final delivery. And every run counts, yes, but also at what point does Jemima Spence say, actually no, you know what, I want to take the strike?
It does feel a little bit counterproductive, and also you don't want Spence stuck at the non-strikers end, that to the point where when she comes back on strike she feels kind of out of rhythm.
Pulled away. This time they will take a single, and they'll also come back for a second. That's good running. It was a good shot, and Miles, in fairness, is looking more than capable with the bat. So maybe Spence is just backing her mate to say, you know what, you take some of the strike and make some runs, although she is only 4 from 13. And there they will sneak through for a single, and Spence will come back on strike. And it's a good point you make, Polly. It's now 11 balls. Spence has gone without facing, which is probably 5+ minutes. And she won't need to completely restart as she would maybe after a drinks break or a longer break in play, but certainly she won't be feeling as fresh as she was 10 minutes ago. Right in the block hole. It's really well bowled by Turner, who's been much better in this second spell. There's 12 overs to play at the end of this one. It's a good batting pitch as well. Clipped into the leg side by Spence, but there'll only be a single there. Heather Graham doing the work, and the throw fizzes back to Rogers, who has to take it round about chest height in the end. So 2 deliveries to go. Miles on strike, and the field comes in. I wouldn't be surprised if she just takes these last 2 deliveries and allows Spence to start again next over. 2 sounds. I reckon it's hit bat first. Shouts turned down quickly by umpire Naeem Ashraf. Although it looks, Polly, at least like Miles was trying to run score there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, she's a capable batter. I think it's about building this partnership really and surviving at least. Miles looking positive though.
Final delivery of the over. And it's knocked down to long on, and yet again, for the 3rd over in a row, Miles takes the single, and it's a more productive over this time. 5 from it. That means that the Surrey number 10 is going to face the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th over in a row. That's a lie. 4th over in a row.
I mean, I'm guessing if Jemima Spence wasn't happy with it in one of their mid-over conferences, she would have mentioned something about it. So presumably it's the plan they're going for. Sorry, 177 for 8, with Katie Levick returning to bowl her 8th over, 3 for 30 so far, and that's been caught really nicely. Diving forward, low, on the ground, Holly Armitage has the wicket of Beth and Miles, and she survived a couple of overs, but Katie Levick strikes again to pick up her 4th, and Surrey are 9 wickets down Still with 12 overs to bat, Bethan Miles departs for 6.
Yeah, it's been a really intriguing passage of play. Miles farming the strike as the number 10 with her mate Jemima Spence, the in batter, who came in at number 7, 23 not out, hasn't had a chance. And now, with Danny Gregory on strike for a potential 5 deliveries in a row, Jemima Spence may not get a chance. And this is another reason why it seems slightly strange, is not only is Spence more likely to score runs quickly, but Miles was more likely to get out. And it was a really good catch by Holly Armitage to boot.
Yeah, it was an odd plan that they had going on. I don't know whether that message had come from coach or was just kind of decided out there. But I think I've probably realised getting Jemima Spence on strike is pretty important now.
Top work to Stevie and Ross, our directors and cam ops, for getting that catch on screen for you guys.
Levick continuing, and that's lovely from Levick. Really lovely. Couple of hands on heads from the Durham fielders.
So Danny Gregory's got 4 more to survive here.
Gregory tries to turn this into the leg side.
It's going to be tough for her to get off strike. It's a packed infield.
They really have brought pretty much all the fielders bar one up into the ring. And there's a wrap on the pads. Not out. Yeah, Emily wins us at deep square on covers the sweeper there, but everyone packed into the ring and it's worked away.
Here's an interesting one. Now the field spreads. Will they take the single? I would be so surprised if they do.
Levick in and a wide. Bells were whipped off, but a wide. 178 for 9.
I like that from Mia Rogers, because her back foot never left the crease, but there was just a hint that it was lifting in the air.
Levick in and a couple of hands up in the air. But a fantastic over again from Katie Levick, who over after over produces excellence. 178 for 9 with 11 overs to go.
So Spence will be on strike now, and I think it will be even numbers only. And there are plenty of even numbers available. If we have a wide view of the pitch, you'd be able to see the leg side field, which is almost entirely vacant, save for the fielders on the boundary. So drop and run 2's very much possible. There's just a little bit of extra bounce from Turner. It surprised Spence, who just had to readjust slightly. And there's another mid-over meeting.
After the first ball, surely there's not that much to say.
And, well, the cut-off time won't be an issue. It's definitely slowing the game down a touch. Spence goes for a big heave into the leg side, misses it, and they come through for a single. So Danny Gregory will face the remaining 4 deliveries of this over, or at least that's a possibility. And Spence is stranded again at the non-striker's end in a pattern of play that is confusing me slightly, Polly.
Likewise. I don't know if there is some real genius behind this and we're not seeing it, but it doesn't seem to quite make sense.
Pace off from Turner, clever bowling. Especially to the number 11, who is yet to get off the mark from 7. Generating all the pace herself is a tough ask. Now there are singles on offered. Fine leg and deep square are both out. Chipped back in the air, and it's a fantastic catch from Sophia Turner. One-handed over her head. And she's been fantastic in this comeback spell. And Durham have been fantastic throughout. And Jemima Spence is left stranded on 24 not out. And it brings an end to the Surrey innings at 179. And Durham will have 180 to win.
Jemima Spence was just dragging her bat across the ground, trudging off. She looks really frustrated with that. It's been poor from Surrey. In fact, extras, I think, has been the top scorer for them in the end on 33. But yeah, the wickets of Bryony Smith and Rachel King at the top, the 20 and 24 respectively, didn't help. Top scorer Alice Davidson-Richards with 26 from 21. But no one could stick with Jemima Spence after she ran out Paige Schofield. And Spence finishes 24 not out from 40. Surrey all out for 179. And Katie Levick, the hero with the ball, 4 for 31. But let's not forget Maddie Villiers, 3 for 23, including 2 maidens from her 10 overs. Consistent and really important for Durham. And then Abby Glenn as well with the wicket of Dhaliwal, the debutant. But a fantastic opportunity for Durham here to get a win on the board and chase down a low total of 180.
Yeah, they'll be absolutely delighted with that. And as we see, the ground staff just tending to the pitch. They've got the light roller on, not the heavy roller, and doing some sweeping and repainting. We're going to take a break and have our lunch. And we'll be back when the game resumes in about 25 minutes. I think it's a half-hour innings break. So we'll be back when... Yeah, there we go. Play to resume at 1:30. And we'll be back just a couple of minutes before that.
Welcome back to the stream for Durham versus Surrey in the one-day cup, and things have gone well for Durham. In the first innings, they are chasing 180 after getting Surrey 179 all out within 40 overs. That was thanks to Maddie Villiers and Katie Levick in particular. Villiers with 3 for 23, Katie Levick 4 for 31, and now Durham will be trying to chase 180 with myself, Polly Starkey and George Gompertz. And it's Bryony Smith who is waiting to take on the charge.
Yeah, Durham will be very happy with the work they've done so far. But this game is far from over. This pitch in its 5th day now. Still got plenty in it for the bowlers. Slightly miscued on the cut, but we are in the power play at the minute, just 2 out of the ring. So it's a tight infield, but as soon as it pierces that, there are plenty of boundary scoring opportunities. A play and a miss. It's very well bowled from Smith, and Durham will be happy with the way they bowled in the power play. I feel that Surrey probably didn't quite make use of it. They're about 31 at the end of their first 6 overs, and by the time the 10th over had been played, they were 42 for 1, thank you. And I want to talk about this notebook so badly, by the way. On the sweep, leg side wide. Because you've got the highlighters out.
Yeah.
Presumably, different colours denote different events.
Yeah, so it's different colours for different teams. So today I have the nightmare of the teams being the same colour.
Cut away, and that will be the first runs off the bat for
So
Emma Marlowe, which brings Mia Rogers on strike.
So yeah, in my head, Durham are blue, but Surrey are also blue. So I've had to do Durham as yellow because that's kind of like their second colour almost, and Surrey as blue.
Outside off stump, and there's a run there. Emma Marlowe calls Rogers through, and she's tried to sweep this one from maybe 5 or 6 stumps, and there's just a little bit of extra bounce, and it's a safe shot. You're asking a lot for that to turn back and hit the stumps. And Rogers is pretty keen on the sweep. She's brought it out on her first delivery, and it's edged, and it drops just short, and it's a genuine edge. It's Laura Harris in the corner, who really didn't have her best day with the bat. She was bowled for a golden duck and almost made amends there in the first over. And it's a good start for Smith. 2 wides from it, a bye and a run off the bat. Durham a 4 for no loss from 1.
Yeah, I had to put that down as a genuine opportunity.
So we haven't got to the bottom of this notebook yet.
Yeah.
So you've got
So
a section to write in the score after every over.
yeah, so I start with my first page, which is always the teams.
Very neat.
And then any kind of changes or anything different. So for example, I've got Dhaliwal making her senior debut. I put the ends, and then once the first innings is finished, put the target. And then yeah, after every over, just keep track of the score, any wickets that fell in that over. I'm quite a visual person, so I like to be able to see, oh, there was a stack of wickets that fell here. And it's just very easy to be able to see. I'd never, before I started doing commentary, like I didn't know how anyone prepared or like did stuff, but for me this like works. It keeps me focused. As Alice Davidson Richards is in from the Finkerland, and has been pushed to point by Mia Rogers for no run.
Well, we've got one of our commentators who was doing the men's game last week, Ben
Oh,
Fitzpatrick. He scores the
Yeah.
game with an
I was
actual
mind
scorebook.
blown by this. Yeah.
That's maybe taking it to one extreme.
Yeah, that's kind of the next level. But yeah, this is just a simple way to keep track of stuff, and it's nice because you can compare the scores throughout and all that sort of thing. So no, I do like doing it this way. As Davidson Richards is continuing here, that's prodded for no run.
So I hadn't noticed that, but you've split each page in two.
Yeah.
So over by over, you have a direct comparison.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
a live worm.
Yeah, it basically is. But yeah, I find it very easy then to compare and yeah, I don't know, kind of figure out the story of the game as such. Like, and also I can then look back. Like, I have all the dates of when games have happened and who's been playing and stuff. So yeah, this notebook's falling apart. Like, pages are falling out, but yes, keeps me going. As that's been driven really nicely by Rogers. We'll find Danny Gregory, who's running in from the boundary. But Rogers off the mark. 5 without loss.
You're quite a sentimental person.
Yes. Yeah, so I've got my one from last season, which ended up being pretty full, but it's quite cool to have all of that recorded there.
Absolutely.
Marlowe on strike, and she's got a slight edge, and that's tickled away to the boundary. Pretty straight in the end. And Durham a 9 without loss.
And they won't mind how the runs come. The old cliche, there are no replays on the score sheet when it's come off the inside edge, but all that's noted down in the scorebook is it's gone to the boundary.
Marlowe 5 from 6 as Davidson Richard runs in and once again pushed a point, so no run there.
It's Jemima Spence, the number 67 on your screen there, who's got the gloves for Surrey. She hasn't been keeping all season, that's mostly been the job of Kira Chatley, but with her on England A duty, it means that the Surrey number 7 is also the wicketkeeper today.
Marlowe jumps back to defend. So 5 from the over off Davidson Richards. Durham 9 without loss after the second.
Write that in. There you go. There's your little section for it. And we've just seen Jemima Spence go and get the helmet because she's going to stand up, obviously, to the spin of Bryony Smith. But she'll be absolutely delighted that she gets to stand back and put the cap on when Alice Davison Richards is bowling. Because she had a long time out in the middle. And it's hot.
Yeah.
I think it's just registered 30 degrees, which is almost unheard of at the Banks Homes Riverside. On the northeast more generally. Bryony Smith to continue. Just looks to guide this down to third. Cut it late. She was almost cut it too late, Mia Rogers. The ball was already in the gloves of Jemima Spence. Bryony Smith liked it. She's been difficult to get away so far. Just 3 runs off her in her 7 balls. Jemima Spence out in the middle for over an hour. Flighted up above the eye line of Rogers, who goes for the drive. Slightly miscues it, but it's good intent from the Durham wicketkeeper bat. This time she does cut it away. But there's a sweeper out there. It's Bethan Miles doing the work. Doing the Emily Windsor role. That's where she was stationed for most of the Surrey innings. Flighted up and driven. It's a pretty standard field for what we see in 50 over cricket. 1 sweeper out on the offside, 1 sweeper out on the leg side, so that if it does just drop a little bit short, there's a possibility of saving a boundary. Cut away And Marlowe beats the infield and it runs away to the boundary. But it won't quite get there because Rachel King does the chasing and keeps it to 2 runs. And you mentioned running between the wickets being a strength of the women's game, Polly. Must be noted that it becomes more difficult when the weather's this hot.
Definitely. You get so exhausted and it is so tiring out there. But when you have kind of, also I guess with the hot weather as well, the outfield does become quicker, so then it is also harder in that sense as well, not just the physical side.
Again on the back foot, Marlowe looking to cut it away. It's been the favoured shot against Bryony Smith, but she's bowled tight lines. She's been difficult to get away. 6 runs from her 2 overs. Durham after 3, a 12 for no loss.
Yeah, it was interesting with running between the wickets because when I was at India, South Africa on Sunday, what day was it? Yeah, Sunday. It was really hot there and the players I think were struggling with the heat a bit, which I wouldn't expect for India and South Africa, two like very hot climates, but the players were kind of struggling and actually they weren't taking a lot of twos where I think there were those opportunities, but I think there was just a lot of exhaustion going on because Old Trafford has really big boundaries and like great opportunities. In domestic cricket we see a lot of 2s and 3s there. Alice Davidson-Richards continuing 5 from her first over, and this one's been played off the back foot by Mia Rogers for no run.
And Mia's got a difficult job here because she was wicket keeping for Durham, so she was out in the middle under a helmet for a lot of it for those 39.4 overs, and mentally as a wicket keeper you're in the game every single ball, and she's had half an hour off and now she's got to go again against the new ball.
Rogers on 2 as this is defended. She takes a few steps forward. 12 without loss.
But then on the flip side of that is because she's been in the game for 39.4 overs, she'll have a pretty good read on the pitch and how it's playing. And she'll feel like she's seeing the ball all right straight from the off.
Davidson-Richards, number 24 for Surrey. And it's just defended.
One thing about Mia Rogers' batting this summer compared to last summer, I watched her a fair bit last summer, and this is the 3rd or 4th time I've seen her this year. She seems a lot more powerful. She's been working hard in the gym during the winter, and whereas last summer she was a very technical, touchy player, she's just added that extra element to her game this year.
Rogers this time guides it to backward point. 12 without loss, 4 dots in a row for Davidson-Richards.
We mentioned it was a difficult start to the season for Rogers, who was struggling for game time, but since then has put in some really good performances with the bat.
ADR in and will be stopped.
In a brilliant 50 in mid-May against Somerset. In a big Durham win, they won that one by 120 runs. And Rogers batting with Bess Heath, wicket-keepers union, all but seeing that one home.
Rogers taps a bat as this one's been hoiked away by Rogers. We'll just find the fielder, Bethan Miles, coming in from the boundary. So a single to wrap up what was a fantastic over from Alice Davidson-Richards. Durham just 13 without loss.
And we're seeing the same pattern of play as we saw in the first innings, that these opening bowlers on what is a fairly true pitch have been difficult to get away, bowling very tight lines. Davidson, Richards and Smith, of course, both incredibly experienced players, both with a lot of captaincy experience as well. And Bryony Smith is not captaining this side today, but she has done on countless occasions and Davison Richards from the other end is captaining the side. So there's a lot of experience in this opening pair. Driven powerfully by Rogers through the gap. And that runs away for her first boundary of the game. And it's a beautiful cover drive.
That power, as you say, that she's developed, a lovely shot and eased past the fielders. Nothing they could do.
Yeah, you're right. That was timing as much as anything else. Stepped into the ball. It's right out the middle of the bat. Rogers goes back. That's better from Smith. Maybe just a touch full and wide from that delivery, which Rogers drove away. Forward again. And I just wonder whether we'll see Mia Rogers coming down the track at some point to the spinner. She does like to go over the top. She's also a big one for the paddle and the scoop. She loves that shot, and that's on as well. There are plenty of different run scoring options available to her. And she goes for the sweep, and the umpire's finger goes up. So we won't see those attacking options because Rogers falls LBW for 7 at the hands of the brilliant Bryony Smith.
Yeah, frustrating loss for Durham with Rogers going. We saw some nice shots, that exquisite cover drive, and Durham would have hoped to see more just like that. But Bryony Smith with the early breakthrough for Surrey, who need to have these early breakthroughs if they want to defend what was a very low total that they set from the first innings, 180 Durham need to win. They now need 163, and it brings Holly Armitage, the Durham captain, to the middle.
Durham skipper. Durham are in need of a captain's knock. Mia Rogers is strong on the sweep. It's a shot she favours and she backs herself to play it. And hitting with the spin, it was a good attacking option, but the risk you take with that shot is if you miss it, then you're trapped square in front. And that, unfortunately for her, was the case, and her day is now done.
I'm just having a little notice because Charlotte Lambert briefly came on as a sub-fielder, and now I think Phoebe Franklin's just come on as a sub-fielder, but Charlotte Lambert's gone off.
A sub for sub.
Yeah.
A little tactical change. Smith continues. It was short and it was there to pull. Armitage slightly miscued it. She's hit it straighter than she would have liked. It's a dot ball. Just one to go from this over. Full. It's actually a full toss, and that again is driven through the covers. And that's a lovely way for Holly Armitage to get off the mark.
Yeah, that was well and truly punished by Armitage. I'm just trying to work out who has gone off the field.
Oh, I love this as a game of deduction.
I feel like I'm doing a register, right? We've got King.
Present.
We've got Smith.
Present.
Because Phoebe Franklin's definitely on. So who's made way?
There's Franklin shouting, "Here, miss."
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the notepad as well. You're all prepped. What are we learning today?
We're trying to count to 11. As Alice David Richardson is back in, and that's been sent over the head of the keeper down to her boundary, and Emma Marlowe chipped that over.
That has absolutely flown off the deck. I thought it might have taken a heel or a foot or something, but it's landed in a foothole. And as we've mentioned, this pitch is into its 5th day. It was used for all 4 days of the men's game, which only finished last night. So that's exactly where they've been planting their feet. And it's just hit one of those craters and ballooned in the air.
I was just baffled. I was like, that shot up from nowhere as this one's been driven. And in fact, it's beaten the fielder. Bryony Smith is in pursuit and may stop it as it slows up, but in fact won't be able to. Back-to-back boundaries. And that previous one was a wide as well.
I wonder if there was just maybe a slight lack of communication. Bryony Smith seemed pretty sure that Paige Schofield was going to cut it off in covers, and then I think she effectively ended up leaving it. It's a good shot nonetheless.
Davidson Richards running in. Marlowe playing it back on the offside. Durham 30 for 1.
And this is the over where you feel that pressure's just slightly been released. Davidson Richards was incredibly tight in the first couple of overs, and this one has already gone for 9.
Davidson Richards in, and that's played straight to point. Good bit of fielding by Laura Harris. Durham 30 for 1. A wide from Davidson Richards.
Oh, Surrey are doing their best so far to even things up in terms of extras. Durham bowled 26 runs worth of wides, and add the leg by and the 6 byes, that was 33 in total, which you mentioned earlier, Polly, was the top scorer for Surrey. Well, in this game, in this over alone, there's already 6 wides.
Durham 31 for 1 as Davidson Richards is in, and that slash into the ground and pops up again.
I thought for a second it might land on her stumps. Yeah. I don't think Emma Marlowe knew where that went.
And I think it might be Bethan Miles who is off the pitch. I think. But I'm not sure.
First clue to answering that question. Can you see her on the pitch?
Well, no.
Wow,
but
there we go. Back yourself. I back you. I think you're right.
Marlowe on strike on 11, and that's a full toss, and it's been clipped away. Backward of square. Phoebe Franklin, the sub fielder, throwing it back to the keeper. Because Phoebe Franklin is stood where Bethan Miles was fielding.
And that is always a great way to tell.
Is normally a good sign, and I think I can identify everyone else on the pitch.
I think you're right.
So
good deduction.
Davidson Richards looking to try and wrap up her over. Armitage driving this. A couple of bounces before it goes into the hands of Paige Schofield. So 32 for 1 after 6 overs. And in fact, Phoebe Franklin is making way for, I think that's Bethan Miles. So I'm satisfied.
And yeah, well, Holly Armitage. Durham would love her to have a big knock here, losing the first wicket early. She's been phenomenal so far this year, past 50 on 7 separate occasions. Most recently was in that trip down to visit the Blaze late last week. She hit 81 not out from just 55 deliveries. So she's in fine fettle. That was her second 50 in June. It's a full toss from Smith. They go for a quick single and they get home comfortably. It beat the dive of Bethan Miles, but couldn't beat Danny Gregory. She's back onto strike here. Holly Armitage, another 50. That was not out. Also against the Blaze at the end of May. Short. No run. Another one against Hampshire, 24th of May. And the week before that against Somerset. And then a big ton against Surrey in mid-April. And the week before that she hit 81 against Essex. So it's been quite the year for the Durham skipper so far. And on a good deck, on a good day, there's no reason why she can't go on and get another one. Clipped away. And she might push for 2. There's definitely 2 on if they want it. And they do come back. Paige Schofield covering round. We can see the member of the Surrey coaching staff or physio team just walking below us with plenty of refuelant and hydration. Got a big tub of squash. It looks like maybe there's some electrolytes there, a couple of bananas. You can just see them there about 7 o'clock on your screen with all the rehydration that they're going to need on a hot day to keep this bowling attack fueled. Drifts leg side, and it would have been a wide had it not crashed into the pad of Holly Armitage. So that's the end of the over. 3 from it, and Durham a 35 for 1.
A better over from a Surrey perspective after leaking those 11 runs in the previous over, many of those down to wides.
Durham won't mind how they get them.
No, Durham won't be fussed at all.
Freebies are welcome here. Paige Schofield is doing a lot of running because she is going from one boundary to the other and swapping with Bethan Miles.
Davidson Richards in, and that's been pushed away, passed back point, and has gone all the way for 4. Moves to 39 for 1.
Yeah, it's a good shot. It was short and wide and it was there to hit. And it did bounce a little bit and she rode the bounce nicely. And there's no cover backwards of square on the offside. And there's a big old gap between point and gully as well.
141 runs Durham need to win as Davidson Richards is in again, and that's guided straight to point. Laura Harris blocking that out.
She might be slightly frustrated she couldn't find that same gap.
Durham 39 for 1. Marlowe clips this backward of square into the leg side. The aforementioned Paige Schofield having to run in from the boundary where she's keeping an eye on probably about a third of the pitch.
We might just have a little eye on Paige Schofield at the end of this over, because she's sweeping on the leg side and Bethan Miles is sweeping on the offside, and at the end of every over they switch instead of just staying where they are.
It's wasting energy as Davidson Richards is in, and great delivery, and it's been driven away to Danny Gregory.
The only explanation is that Alice Davidson Richards is keen to have Schofield on the leg side.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was just a one-time switch and they're not going to do it every over.
Marlowe on 18.
Oh.
Hit into the pads and it's given. Alice Davidson Richards has a wicket and Emma Marlowe has to go for 18. Surrey have another breakthrough. Durham slipped to 41 for 2.
Marlowe. Well, I was going to say, can't have any complaints about line. It's maybe clipping leg stump, but what she can have maybe a slight grievance about is that it didn't get up as much as she would have hoped, which makes it look like she's played completely the wrong shot, swinging across the line. But where that ball pitched, you would have expected it just to rise up around the hips, but it's actually hit her on the knee roll. And umpire Anthony Harris was quick to raise his index finger, and she has to go for what was looking like a really good innings.
It brings Maddie Villiers to the middle, who we said earlier that she was doing everything, and she's going to need to absolutely do everything and have a decent innings here to get Durham over the line in what should be quite a straightforward chase.
Oh, I don't think any chase is ever straightforward.
No. And I guess with a lower total, you can get kind of caught up in the fact that it should not take too long. It should be quite simple, and none of the other batters in the opposition scored too many runs.
Absolutely. Sometimes a low chase. That's great work, lads. There's Paige Schofield. We'll have a look at her at the end of the over and see where she runs to. Sometimes it's the lower totals which can actually be the most difficult to chase.
Davidson Richards to wrap up her over, and that's been parried away and should potentially, in fact, it does beat the fielder. I think there was a chance that Danny Gregory could have got to it. She kind of hesitated maybe about 30 to 40 centimetres before the boundary and started to go down to reach for it and then pulled away. But it's 4.
Here we go. Look at that. She's run all the way from one boundary, running all the way to the other. That's probably 120 metres that she's running every over. But she's fielding in a mirror position. So clearly they want her on the leg side, and I don't know what's going to happen if there's a left-right partnership at any point throughout this innings. But every over, she is running 120 metres, and her stats fest is going to be beeping off the scale by the end of this game.
Yeah, they're also switching up who's opposite her, because we've had Bethan Miles, we obviously had Phoebe Franklin, we've had Danny Gregory, and now I think, do we have, who's that out there?
The debutante for my money.
Yeah, it's Dollywalt. So they are chopping and changing. In fact, it's taken a bit of time to set the field too.
So Davidson Richards clearly seeing Paige Schofield as a specialist position there and a specialist fielder. Forward defending, no run. And she is there for one. She's covering a lot of ground, and a lot of deliveries are going to go there, especially with these two right-handers hitting with this spin, which is coming in towards them. But also, if Smith does drag one short and one of these two decides to go and clear the ropes, they trust Schofield's hands to take anything that may come her way. And defending a low total, it's just 135 more to win. They're going to need to take every chance they create. Forward again. And from just 8 and a bit overs, or at the end of the 8th over, Durham were 45 for 2. And Polly, you can tell us with your scorebook, what were Surrey after 8?
They were 36 for 1.
So ahead of the rate. Goes back and just turns it into the leg side for a single. And some good footwork. Just going back to the end of that over as well. I got distracted when Paige Schofield was doing her run. I would have been pretty disappointed if I was Davidson Richards, having conceded a boundary with that ball going to the ropes.
Yeah, it was a bit of an odd bit of fielding. I'm not sure. I mean, I know it was in kind of the rough patch out there. Maybe she didn't want to dive, but
2 overs ago we saw Bryony Smith chase one down and chuck in a full length
You've got to
dive.
commit, you know. I don't know whether she went to go down and kind of realised she wasn't going to make it, so gave up. But no, I'd like to see kind of full commitment. As I say, I think she could have cut it off.
Good sound effects from Smith and a lot of willow behind that strike to the mid-wicket boundary. And that brings up the 50 for Durham. And not even Paige Schofield could cut that off. It was half a cry of catch as well, but I wouldn't want to get my hands behind that.
No, a lovely shot from Villiers and the 50 up for Durham. Yeah, when Bryony Smith bowls, it's like watching a tennis player serve. There's like a grunt behind it. And she's bowling her off spin. And Surrey are going to make a change with Izzy Sidhu coming into the attack. Just her second 50 over game for Surrey. Came through the Suffolk pathway with her twin sister. And then has made the move to Surrey to Tier 1 cricket.
She's just taken 2 wickets so far this season. One of those coming against Essex in April and one in an academy game. But Davison Richards clearly trusting her here.
So left arm spin as that's banged into the pitch and slapped away by Armitage.
So previously we've had a sweeper on either side of the wicket. We've now got 2 in the deep on the leg side. It's Schofield and King just protecting the drag down, which, well, worked very well, that first delivery.
Sidhu in again, and he's been pushed straight to Bethan Miles.
And of course, that is also the direction they're hitting with the spin and slightly with the wind as well. So maximum protection out on the leg side.
Villiers 8 from 4, as this one's prodded defensively to point.
A really good start from Sidhu, putting it in good areas straight from the off. And I'm a big fan of this action and this angle, especially coming across the right hand. And she's just waiting for one which grips the pitch a little bit and turns back through the gate. And Villiers will be wary of that as well. But we don't see a lot of left arm leg spinners. So it's an exciting sight.
It is definitely an exciting sight. We've got Millie Taylor down at Warwickshire as Sidhu's in and has been pushed away. It should go for 4, and it will be 4. Villiers finds the boundary once again.
That is a proper cricket shot. She's gone back and bent her back knee and just leant into it. And it's a half cut, half drive. Straight out the middle of the bat.
That's been well cut off by Elish Cranstone, who's diving across to cut that off.
It's deliveries like that that put pressure on the bowler, because that was by no means a boundary ball. But Villiers has turned it into one.
Rocking back and trying to pull that away. But we'll wrap up with a dot ball. So 55 for 2 at the end of the over. 10 overs gone, 40 remain.
And that's something that we didn't see so much in that Surrey innings, especially at the beginning. They really struggled for boundaries. But here, Durham are just managing to create boundary scoring options when they might not have been there. As umpire Naeem Ashraf signals that that's the end of the first power play. And it brings in Danny Gregory to the attack, who Surrey fall back on time and again. Seldom does she not get through her 10 overs. Danny Gregory enters the game from the Lumley end. And immediately it's a paddle attempt from Armitage. And of course it's a premeditated shot, and in the end the delivery wasn't there for it. You just watch something very interesting that Danny Gregory does here with the ball just before she delivers it. Forward and defending, and I don't know if we can get Stevie up on the roof to just zoom in on Danny Gregory just before she bowls, because it looks like she does something a little bit interesting. Here we go, let's have a little watch of this. She's going to flick the ball like an off-spinner. There we go, flicks it like an off-spinner does. But then when she goes to bowl, she delivers a leg spinner. The reverse ramp. Now that's some shot from Holly Armitage. It's not going to have the legs to go all the way. Rachel King will chase it, but she does come back for 2. Let's just have another look at that, Stevie, if we can just have a look at Danny Gregory. Here we go. Surrey number 19. So she's a leg spinner, but when she's in her load up, just before she bowls, she clicks her fingers like an off spinner. Remarkable. Whatever works. Short, but no run. We see some weird and wonderful things, especially in spin bowlers, as they run up. But practicing one type of delivery, then delivering a completely different one is certainly up there. We'll have to try and ask her what is behind that. Short again, this time driven through the covers, and it is fantastic work from Miles. And I reckon Armitage just missed out on one there. There we go, there's the off spinner. And here's the leg spinner. Driven down the ground, and Gregory does her own fielding as our maintenance men next door get the power drills, the saws out. And it's 2 from the first Gregory over. And Durham sitting well above the rate at the minute. If they're on par on the required run rate, they should be at 44, but they currently sit at 57 for 2. However, that DLS par changes dramatically with every wicket that falls.
Definitely. Durham 57 for 2. I was going to see Izzy Sidhu back into the attack. Now, I'll have to confirm with her. I've just done a little quick Google, and as you can see her coming in now, with her wristy spin. It obviously is rare to see kind of wristy spin from a left armour. However, the only other person in the women's professional game in England who I see doing this is Millie Taylor, who is also a twin. And I have a feeling that maybe Izzy is a mirror twin, which is exactly what Millie is with her twin sister Mary, who bowls right arm seam. And Izzy's twin sister Imogen, according to Suffolk Cricket, bowls right arm off. As Izzy's in again, and that's defended for no run.
Fantastic intel. So
I'm just thinking, we've got one case study. Is this the second one? Because I'd never heard of a mirror twin before. I spoke to Millie Taylor about it, as this is a full toss and is clubbed away. Will it be cut off? It won't be cut off. And it goes for 4. Villiers strikes again.
Now, I've not heard of a mirror twin, and my guess would be that purely wanting to differentiate yourself from your sibling, you just do the opposite.
It's actually biological.
Is it biological? Wow.
You are the exact mirror image.
No way. That's crazy.
Which is why you have the left hand, right hand, as Sidhu's in. And that's been played into the ground.
So it's a nature thing, not a nurture thing.
It's nature, not nurture.
That's amazing.
So yeah, I mean, I don't quite understand all the different scientific variations of twins, but I know that's one and it's got a fancy name. As Sidhu takes a few steps, and that's blocked into the pitch by Villiers. So yeah, you are quite literally the mirror image,
That's
which
absolutely
is pretty
phenomenal.
amazing. And so yeah, this is the case with the Taylor twins, who are now both at Warwickshire. But potentially with I'm not saying it's necessarily true, but it could be an option, as this has been slapped down the ground and will be another 4 from Maddie Villiers. Raced away from the fielders, and there were 4 dots in there, but Sidhu's gone for 8 in the over. Those 2 boundaries from Villiers.
And this is a sign of really good batting. As you said, for 4 balls of that over, Sidhu was absolutely on the money. But the 2 loose ones, the full toss and the half volley, have been punished. And that is a sign of 2 batters on top form, because they don't need to be risky. They don't need to bat dangerously, because they know that eventually they're going to get a boundary ball, and they back themselves when they do face that delivery to hit it all the way to the ropes. Danny Gregory and her off-spinning leg spinners to continue. Down the ground. Good hands from Bethan Miles. Holly Armitage just striking at 50 because her partner at the other end is striking over 140. This is again why partnerships are so important, because you build this dynamic. And with Villiers going so strong at the other end, it allows Armitage just to take things a bit slower, see a few more deliveries, and just rotate the strike. Miles again with the fielding. She's been good in the covers so far.
Yeah, she's been tight. There's been 2 this over where she's been very watchful.
There's the off spinner. And here comes the leg spinner. This is really good from Gregory. 4 dots in a row. Just building some pressure of her own. And I talk about this dynamic with Villiers hitting big at one end, but at some point Armitage might just want to feel a pressure release. And that's the point at which you may just go looking for something that isn't there. As a half volley chipped into the hands of Bethan Miles, but it just goes over her head. I wonder if she did get a hand to it. We said how good she's been in there, but she looks maybe a little despondent. Her head tilts to the sky. That's exactly what I was talking about there. Armitage just feeling for that shot a little bit too much. It was there to hit, but she didn't quite commit to it. She commits to that one a bit better down the ground. She'll pick up a single. If Villiers turns, she'll come back for 2, and she will. Izzy Sidhu does the fielding. That's really intelligent running. So it's a good over for Surrey, and Durham just claw something back from it at the end. It almost brought the wicket, but in the end it just went for 2. Villiers will be on strike, and Durham is 67 for 2.
Yeah, Villiers on to 20 from 14, Armitage 13 from 26. Durham requiring 113 more to win in this low-scoring game. And there is going to be a change of bowling. Bethan Miles coming into the attack for the first time today from the Finkel end.
And I wondered when we might see her, and with Surrey struggling to gain any control, they're just really rotating through the bowlers as to not let these Durham pair settle on anything, or settle on any one.
Villiers awaits as Miles is in, and that's worked into the leg side. They'll jog through for 1.
We just have a little look at your scorebook, Polly.
Yes.
What were Surrey after 13?
They were 52 for 1. So Durham ahead, but of course 1 wicket more down. That didn't make any sense.
Understood.
It's been a long day. Durham 68 for 2. As Miles comes into the attack, and that's been punched away. Beats the diving fielder inside the ring. Will be cut off by Danny Gregory easily before the boundary. Pair will come back for 2 though. Good running from the Durham batters.
Surrey will want to just snag another wicket before that target is in double figures. Because as soon as it starts to be in the 90s, there's a big psychological advantage.
Armitage sails away down to fine leg.
Once it gets into double figures, all of a sudden it can come down very quickly. And they'll want to get into that middle order, Graham, Thompson and Glenn, as quickly as possible. They stand a chance of defending this low total.
Villiers on 21, and she chops this into the ground straight back to Miles.
I like that from Miles. It's brave. She's just given it a little bit more flight. And it's tempted Villiers into the big old drive, which was there to hit, but it's always more difficult once it's gone above the eye line.
Really defensive from Villiers, leaning over the ball, holding the pose. 71 for 2. Miles to wrap up her over, and that's been slapped away, but straight into the hands of Bryony Smith. Villiers will depart for 21, and Bethan Miles gets a wicket in her first over. Durham are 3 wickets down in this low total chase. They still need 109 to win, and Maddie Villiers is the latest to depart. She was looking good, played some great shots, found the boundary and on a number of occasions, but then just found the hands of Bryony Smith.
And it was there to hit, and it was there to go for it. And it's a reward for Bethan Miles for just being brave and chucking it up there and tempting Villiers into that shot. And she will be well aware of the possibility of going to the ropes. But Bryony Smith was right on the edge of the ring, and it hasn't cleared to her, and she said, "That's my work done." And she's gone off the field now. Brings Emily Windsor to the field, who had a tricky year last year with injury. Actually spent quite a lot of time where we are now, Polly, in the commentary box.
Yeah, came up to see us quite a lot last season, and it was a pleasure to work alongside her, but of course we'd much rather see her out on the field with the bat, or running a lot from boundary to boundary all over the place. Durham 71 for 3 though, as she comes in now.
And that wicket came at a pivotal time. I said the psychological factor in getting that target down to 2 figures. Well, it's still at 109. And for 3, with a new partnership, Surrey will see this as a big chance to go and attack now and try and get a couple of wickets in a cluster, which can really put a halt to any chase. It'll be Holly Armitage on strike now, though. It's the end of the over, and Danny Gregory is to continue from the Lumley end. They set off for a quick single, and they get there easily. It's good running from Emily Windsor to call through her captain. She's going to take her guard on about middle and off stump, I reckon. So hitting with the spin. There are 2 out on the leg side, but there's a big gap all the way from deep mid-wicket all the way round. So if she wants to go over the top, there are options straight There are options really on 180 degrees of the field. Danny Gregory won't mind it if she does try and go over the top. Hitting with the spin, the option is over cover. That's one heck of a shot if you've got it in the locker. So they're leaving that long on mid-wicket open. Because if Windsor does want to hit against the spin, well, Gregory will say, please, be my guest, go for it. Nice straight bat from Emily Windsor. And again, this feels like a crucial period of this game. Will Durham consolidate? Or will Surrey pick up a couple of wickets? Good Dan, the shout from the Surrey outfielders, and it has been really good from Danny Gregory coming towards the end of her third over. She's gone for just 5 runs, and it's that pressure from this end which allows the wickets to be taken from the other end. We talk about batting in partnerships, but bowling in partnerships is just as important. Got to back up your mate from the other end, and if Gregory applies pressure from one end, well, it's no good if there's a pressure release from the other. But Bethan Miles has been equally as good, and she took the wicket in the last over. Flicked away aerial for a minute, which got Gregory excited, but Windsor will take the single and retain the strike. It's 2 from the over, and Durham is 73 for 3.
Yeah, Gregory had a hands on her head as if there was a genuine chance, but not to be. Windsor 1 from 5, Armitage 17 from 29, and Mars will continue from the Finkel end. Windsor on strike as Miles is in. This one given a lot of flight, but driven to a long on, running in.
Should we do our update again? What does your notebook say?
After 15 overs, Surrey were 71 for 2. So pretty close equation as this is chopped into the ground for a dot.
It is quite close.
Yeah.
DLS Par is saying 66 is the score for Durham, so they're ahead of that because it really started to slow down for Surrey when they lost those wickets, and there were no quick runs at the tail either.
Miles past the umpire as it's been driven down. Miles dived to try and stop that, shakes her hand. And there'll just be 1. Durham 75 for 3.
Looked like Miles almost took out Windsor when she dived for that one.
A lot of flight again, and she puts her hand in the way to stop the momentum. Rachel King finishing up the fielding. .76 for 3. .104 to win. Miles in. Nice and loopy.
It's really important that Durham, A, just stick around. B, don't let the pressure build up too much. Doesn't necessarily need to be boundaries, but just singles and rotating the strike. And if they can do that and stick around, then runs become a lot easier to score later on.
16 overs gone, 77 for 3.
So you've seen a lot of World Cup already.
Yep.
You've got a lot more to see.
Yep.
Who are your early favourites, if you're
Oh.
allowed to say?
And as much as I hate to say this, I am going to have to
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the team in the gold and green have been doing very well. I think the way they played against South Africa for me in that opening game, I was like, okay, they're serious about this, because that should have been a really tough game and that should have been close, but they absolutely dominated South Africa. I think what's crucial now is their final group game is against India at Lord's on Sunday, and although theoretically all three, South Africa, India and Australia, can all qualify for the semi-finals, you suspect it's going to be India and Australia. But I think that game will be really interesting to be able to compare where those two teams are at. I think with semi-finals and finals, anyone on the day can win it, especially in T20. That's kind of how New Zealand became champions 2 years ago. I thought there was going to be a run out there with a bit of confusion that went on. But yes, I think Australia, unfortunately, are looking strong. England, though, also do look strong, but the caveat I give of that is that they just haven't been challenged and have been playing teams that are much lower ranked than them, and so you would expect them to win those games, and if they didn't, there would be problems.
Well, I suspect the reply to that is you can only beat who's in front of you.
Well, exactly.
Come back for 2, it's good running. And if they can't hit boundaries off Gregory, then quick runs is the way to go.
I think the way that India played against South Africa kind of disappointed me. I thought they left runs out there with the bat, and then when they were trying to defend, I just thought they didn't look as bothered. And I think there's been a fair bit of criticism over the India team for that. But South Africa also played really well. India should have won the game, but the way Marazankat batted was a performance for the ages with the bat in a World Cup.
Gregory's been superb this spell. She ends her 4th over and she's gone for just 8 runs. She's really dried up the run rate as we head for drinks. And not only that, but she's allowed pressure to build from one end, which has created wickets from the other. And after a really strong start, Durham now find themselves 3 down. The first wicket fell fairly early on. That was Mia Rogers, who was dismissed LBW off a sweep shot for 17. It was then Emma Marlowe who went after a good partnership, but she fell LBW to Davison Richards, to one that maybe kept a little low, and then a 30-run partnership before Maddie Villiers fell with the scores at 71. She was caught by Smith trying to go over the top off the bowling of Bethan Miles, which leaves us with a game finally poised, and if Durham can keep up this run rate, they will go on to win. But it was at this point where things started to just slow down for Surrey as well.
Yeah, interestingly, at the same stage, Surrey were 86 for 2, so slightly ahead of the runs. But as you say, just before they had this big collapse where from kind of over 21 to 25, they lost 4 wickets pretty quickly. So there was that collapse of the kind of top to middle order. And of course, Durham will want to avoid that and put their foot on the gas a bit, and they've got 101 runs to win, almost at the halfway point in terms of that run chase.
Certain trumpeter playing a certain tune. Has there been any of that in the Women's World Cup? Any sort of drums or trumpets? Or
We had quite a lot of music at the India-Pakistan game, which was good. I went into the Hollies for a bit, and that was a great vibe. I'm trying to think of other games.
Is that music over the PA system or?
No, there were people in the ground.
Lovely.
Which is always, I think, better. It builds
amazing.
the atmosphere, and a lot of people were gathered around, whether that was in the stands or on the concourse, and yeah, just very, very good atmosphere. I'm trying to think of other games. The opener was quite loud. I mean, we had Wicked at the opener. The West End cast of Wicked performed.
It's amazing.
Which was quite a way to start the tournament. I was a big fan of that, so that was very good.
You seen the musical?
I have seen the musical. Big
Enjoy
fan.
it?
Yeah, I really liked it.
What's your favourite number?
Oh, that's a very, very good question. I really like One Short Day, which is what was performed actually at the opener. But then in the film, I like the way they did Popular. I thought that was very good. But yeah, I don't know if you've spoken to Ben about musicals, but during a rain delay, we established that we both are quite big theatre kids. So we then spent about 2.5 hours just talking about musicals as the rain fell here and the T20 between Yorkshire and Durham was called off.
Is that the same musical with Defying Gravity, or is that?
Yes.
It is, right.
That's the Defying Gravity one, which is kind of the main song, very spectacular. What people know it for as Miles is in, and this is whipped away by Windsor, but we'll just find Phoebe Franklin, who has come on again as a subfielder.
There's a good few months where you couldn't turn the radio on without hearing that song.
Yeah. If you're not a fan of musicals, that probably wasn't a great time. Miles in once again, driven by Windsor. We'll take the single.
Although on the radio, that's fine. It's just a song.
Yeah.
I guess if you're not a fan of musicals and you go to the theatre and they start singing, that's not ideal.
That's a nightmare scenario.
If you turn the radio on, you know you're going to get music.
Yeah.
Of course,
Very
stage
true.
music slightly different to studio music.
Armitage now on strike, and she drives that down the ground on the leg side.
Is Wicked up there with your favourite productions you've seen?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think it's up there with. It wouldn't be in my top 3.
Go on.
But it's still very good.
It sounds like you got a top 3 that you want to share.
I don't think I want to share with the group. Miles in, and it almost looks like she chopped it onto her own stumps, but it goes through to the keeper. Durham 81 for 3.
Have you seen The Devil Wears Prada?
I haven't actually seen it on in the theatre, as that's chipped up in the air and will be a wicket. Emily Windsor goes for 4. Betha Miles gets her second wicket of the day, and it was a simple catch. We've seen quite a few soft dismissals throughout today from both sides, and Durham slip 4 down.
And Emily Windsor just never really got going. And this is what pressure does. Gregory and Miles have been brilliant between them. And it just means that the batters feel for runs. They play shots to deliveries that aren't there. And it's really well bowled from Miles, because she sees Windsor coming and just chucks it out wide. So Windsor's reaching for it in the end, and she can only get a flailing edge on it. And the catch loops up. And Durham, in a way that Surrey also did, are now starting to struggle with that target sitting at 99. However, they find themselves 4 down, which brings Heather Graham to the crease.
Yeah, a little bit of pressure on Heather Graham, not just from the perspective of the game situation, but she is the overseas player. Her highest score so far this season has been 17, so hasn't particularly lit up the competition, and also hasn't been bowling recently. Graham to face and chips this into the ground to wrap up the over. A good over for Surrey and for Beth and Miles. Durham 81 for 4.
Well, as long as Holly Armitage is still in the middle, Durham will feel like they're still in with a chance in the driving seat. And Heather Graham, well, she's got shy of 3,000 career List A runs at an average just a touch under 28. 4 centuries to her name. She's very, very capable indeed. So our ground staff enjoy another lap. Look at those tans, well in, lads. Victor Main with his fedora. Could be on the Costa del Sol. And that's cut away square. And it's going to be a good chase from Paige Schofield, but she just can't quite keep it out. She's got through a lot of running today, sweeping almost the entirety of the offside by herself. And that proved just too much for her. Armitage with a long-awaited boundary. It's been a long time since we saw one of those. The 12th over. We're now into the 19th. That's how Surrey have been on top in the last 6 overs for sure. Driven. And she's looking in good touch here is Armitage. Boundary and single. That's the way to do it. Hit a boundary, get off strike. That partnership of Villiers and Armitage put Durham right on top, but since that wicket, it's been really tough going. Short and tucked off the hips for another single, and this is much better from Durham. Rotating the strike, not letting Gregory settle where in previous overs they have, and in turn not letting the pressure build up. She's bowled beautifully, Danny Gregory, and this her most expensive over so far by a long shot. Short again, pulled, not quite got all of it, Armitage, and it's just a single. So 7 runs off the over. Almost half of the runs that she's conceded have come in these 4 balls. So we're just keeping an eye on that DLS par where Durham should be given the state of the game, and now that they're 4 wickets down, that has jumped up to 87. Well, they're currently at 88 for 4, so they're bang on track. But if they keep losing wickets, that number keeps going up. It's a finely poised moment of the game. Graham forward takes a bit of pad, but only the half-hearted appeal of Jemima Spence brings the end of the over. The best over for Durham for a long time. With 92 to win, they're 88 for 4.
Yeah, 7 from the over. Their previous kind of comparable over would be the 12th, I think, where they scored 8. And before that, the 7th, when they scored 10. As Betha Miles is back in for her 4th over. So far 2 for 10 from her 3. Taking the wickets of Maddie Villiers and Emily Windsor. It's been played along the ground, beats Miles, but no run will be available. And scores elsewhere. New Zealand beat Scotland by 6 wickets in the end in Bristol. Miles in once again, and no run available for Armitage. And Ireland 8 for 2 against Sri Lanka in the afternoon game there. Amy Hunter and Orla Prendergast going for naught. So a bit of an early blow for Ireland there. Armitage tries to get this one away, but it parries down the wicket. And Australia are playing Pakistan at Headingley this evening at 6:30. And then in the Metrobank One Day Cup in Blackpool, Essex are chasing 273 as a full toss. This has been slapped down the ground, but Rachel King will field it in front of the boundary for a single. So 4 dots and a single so far in this over. And Essex are 14 for 2 in reply, with Kate Cross and Tara Norris taking a wicket each. It's been driven straight back 2 miles to end the over, so 89 for 4 at the end of the over. And then in Chesterfield, Yorkshire were 150 all out, and in response, the Blazers 71 for 3 after 13 overs, 3 wickets for Beth Langston so far, but Marie Kelly 35 are not out. They need 80 runs from 37 overs, so they are cruising along. I say they're cruising along. That's what I said about Warwickshire the other day when they were playing at Exmouth against Somerset, and they lost 8 wickets for about 10 runs when they should have, they were 130 odd for 2 and they were absolutely flying. So it was a bit of a disaster there for them.
Gregory is going to continue. Bowled 5 on the bounce for just 15. 7 of those coming in the previous over. Quick single brings Graham back on strike. And we'll just maybe take an over either way. If there's an over with a wicket or 2, or an over that goes for 15, we'll give either one of these sides more confidence. Into the covers, and it's a misfield by Miles, and it does end up costing a run because they come back for 2. Smart running again in the heat at the Banks Homes Riverside. And the wind just starting to pick up a touch as you look at it on the screen, going from right to left, so aiding the spin of Gregory. Mistimed. It's been a beautiful day for watching cricket. The sun has shone relentlessly, and the ground staff have been enjoying it just as much as anyone else. Again, very tight from Gregory. This is why she's so vital in these middle overs. Just when Durham got going, she's managed to slow up the rate dramatically. Durham just waiting for a pressure release. But Gregory is not offering them anything. And at this point in the game, despite defending a very low total, Surrey will believe that they can win for sure. And this is the beauty of 50 over cricket, is that you get the inventiveness and the creativity and the power hitting of T20 whilst still maintaining the tactics and the swings and momentum that you find in long-form cricket. And this game already, in this innings alone, has swung back and forth a few times. And right now, it's right in the balance. But you feel 1 wicket, and Surrey would be very much in the driving seat.
Yeah, we're at the same stage where Surrey lost their 3rd wicket, so they were 118 for 3 after 21, but of course 2 overs later there were 2 wickets that fell, with Schofield and Alice Davidson-Richards departing, and then 2 overs later Ailish Cranstone was out. As Betha Miles is back into the attack, they're going to sneak through for a single from the first ball. Of course, here you mentioned Danny Gregory being so good, and then we've got Betha Miles coming in from the other end, who is looking equally as economical and strong. So Surrey finding a method that works so far, as Armitage looks to rock back and punch that away. She'll take 1. And there's been a misfield, so they're going to go for a second. It's overthrow. And in fact, they come back for 3. And Izzy Sidhu had to run round to deep square to go collect the overthrow.
Chasing a low total, those are the sort of mistakes you can't afford.
Not at all, as Betha Miles is at the top of her mark. Durham 97 for 4. That's chopped into the ground, and they're really quick between the wickets. It's clear that Durham want to up the scoring, and they're taking a few more risks and working hard in this heat. 98 for 4, 82 to win. So far 5 from the over. Armitage straight back to Miles.
Holly Armitage very much holds the key to this chase. As long as she's there, Durham are well in this. Once she's out, if she's out, this becomes a lot more difficult.
Armitage 33 from 51, and a big shout of weight. And Heather Graham is sent back. Last ball of the over. That's defended. Miles doing the fielding. So that wraps up the over. 98 for 4 after 22. And Miles conceding 5, but then 3 dots.
I guess the other positive of this Gregory Miles partnership is that it's dried up the extras. And we saw early on in the innings with the pace bowlers, there were 8 wides given away. And it was a big moment in the Surrey innings that there were 26 wides, which were consistent throughout. Now, not only does the lack of extras make it more difficult for Durham to score runs, don't get the freebies, but it keeps the pressure on. Because even if you dot up for 6 deliveries, if you get 5 wides, then that's your job done. That's well above the required rate. So by not bowling any extras, it means that if Durham are going to tick off these 82 runs, they've all got to come off the bat. But from the 179 that Surrey made, well, 33 of those were completely free. Change of bowling. Gregory has come off after a terrific 6-over spell. And it's Dhaliwal who's come on, who performed well with the bat. A well-made 22 before she was caught down the ground at mid-on. Trying to replicate a textbook shot she did play down the ground for 4. So will Durham see this as a time to put the pressure on, get stuck into the new bowler. And it brings up the 100, which started off very fluently and since then has been tougher going. It's come in just 22 overs, and I'm sure, Polly, with your notebook you can tell us at what point Surrey got to 100 runs. Cut away, driven down the ground under the diving fielder, under 2 diving fielders. And despite the best efforts of Davidson Richards, it goes for 4, another long-awaited boundary.
It was in the 19th over that Surrey brought up their 100.
So slightly slower going for Durham, but it was after they passed 100 that Surrey really slowed down. So Durham still going well above the rate. Short again and punched into the offside. This time Schofield will cover round. So already 7 runs off this over, and this is the over that Durham were looking for. It's not massive, but it's enough just to relieve some pressure, and they go back ahead of the rate significantly. Short again from Dhaliwal, and she perhaps was a touch short throughout that over, and mostly got away with it. 105 for 4.
At the same stage, Surrey were 123 for 5 as they had just lost Alice Davidson Richards and Paige Schofield in that unfortunate run out. As we can see, Armitage and Graham coming together to discuss. And Betha Miles will continue 2 for 16 from her 5 overs. Durham just needs 75 to win. Graham is the batter on strike as she comes down the track, and she's already halfway down the track, so takes the run. She may as well.
She's done her job really nicely so far. Batting with the skipper, with one of the most informed batters on the circuit. She hasn't done anything crazy, but just rotated the strike.
Armitage on 34, and this is slapped away. They'll at least be able to get 1. It's a sharp throw in from Danny Gregory. Durham 107 for 4.
This has been a good partnership for the home side.
Graham straight back to Miles, who's taken a few nasty ones to the hand. She's just shaking her hand out.
24 runs, 25 runs now between these two. It's come at a pretty pivotal time.
Graham pushes this away. Won't be able to find a run. Nurdled into the leg side for another dot. So after those 2 singles, 3 dots in a row delivered by Bethan Miles. Graham pads this away to point, and that will wrap up the over. So really good from Betha Miles, who once again keeps the squeeze on and just allowed 2 runs from that over. 2 for 18 her figures after 6 overs. .24 overs gone, 26 remain as we approach the halfway stage.
So it'll be Dhaliwal to continue. First over going for 7, just providing a bit of a pressure release for Durham. She'll hope to just tighten it up a touch in this second. Armitage going back, no run. Who's your money on at this stage? Go on, I'm putting you on. Putting you on the fence here, or taking you off the fence rather.
You'd have to say Durham are kind of in control of this. I think with this pair in the middle, 73 runs to win, and they've got over half the overs remaining. They've got plenty of time to get this done. They don't need to take risks. I suspect they may take a few risks, and with these two here, try and get it done a little bit quicker. But yeah, I think it's definitely Durham's game to win.
But the beauty of this game is that it just takes a wicket or two, and maybe that all changes. But at the minute, Durham 170 for 4, certainly in the driving seat. 73 to win. Just dab down to a short third, and they get a single. And that's what Armitage has done really nicely throughout this whole innings, is just rotated the strike. She's never faced too many deliveries in a row. Something you said was an important part of the women's game at the start of the match. Driven, no run. And in any form of cricket, when you are struggling to score boundaries, well, the only other option is to run between the wickets. Jemima Spence just readjusting her gloves. A lot of bounce there for Dhaliwal. She'll like the look of that. 2 remain, and it's been tight so far. Just 1 from it. And how does Graham get something from this over now? Where can she find a single, or maybe even a boundary? Floated up and slapped down the ground, but there's no run. That's been a theme of the over. There's plenty of bat on ball, but it tends to be going straight to a fielder. So 1 to come. Short and pulled away. She's not quite got all of it, so it will just be a single. And it will take the target down to 71 required to win. Graham's on 14 and retains the strike, and Armitage at the other end on 36.
So at the halfway stage, Durham 109 for 4. Surrey were 131 for 6, with the departure of Ailish Cranstone in the over. But Durham well above the required run rate here. They've got plenty of time to knock off these 71 runs.
Yeah, time certainly won't be the issue. It's a game of runs versus wickets.
Bethan Miles starting her 7th, dabbled away.
I like the intent from Graham. In the end, they didn't go for the run, but that's what they're looking for. Any gaps in the field? I reckon if she can run it down to third, there's at least 2 on offer.
There's a big vacant area just behind her as that's been pushed out. And I'll jog through for a single.
I guess the fact is Durham don't need boundaries. They're
No.
perfectly happy just to go along at singles.
Yeah, and if there's a bad ball, punish it and find the boundary, but they don't have to take risks or anything, as that will head to in the direction of the boundary. Won't make it all the way, but it will be 2. And that running between the wickets will be crucial. 68 to win.
Very intelligent batting. And the required rate is 2.8 and over, and they've already hit 3 from this over.
Armitage on 38. It's played into the square.
Surrey will still believe that if they can just get through Armitage here, it's still game on.
Armitage striking that back at Miles. Three dots and 3 runs. Finally pushed away, and in fact there's a drop. And the ball gets handed back even. Durham 112 for 4 after 26 overs. Run rate of 4.3, but the required just down at 2.8. Holly Armitage 38 from 62 and Heather Graham 15 from 27.
Dhaliwal will continue after she regained control in that second over, just 2 runs off it. There's a big old meeting here from the senior players group. Paige Schofield, Alice Davidson-Richards, and Beth Miles, all just having a little chat about how they win the game from here. 68 runs to play with in their pursuit of 6 wickets. Durham just going along steadily, that's all they need to do. They're going at over 4 and over. Cut away, and that will be a single. Brings Armitage back on strike, and it's been a fantastic knock so far from the captain. She came in after the early wicket of Mia Rogers, and since then has just anchored this innings. As wickets have fallen around her, she's stayed put. And there is a big swing and a miss there. And Jemima Spence was ready and waiting to whip off the bails. And it's really good bowling from Dhaliwal, beating the outside edge twice. It feels like a long time since we had a boundary. Well, that's because it is the 23rd over. And before that, it was another 6 overs you'd have to wait. Turned away, quick single. It's not been the most boundary-laden game of all time. But there's still a certain thrill that comes with low-scoring chases. And Durham are going along very comfortably at the minute, but with 66 to win, well, that can change in a heartbeat. Pulled away straight to the fielder. So Surrey will know they're still in this game.
Definitely. A few more wickets, as you say, can really change things, and I'm sure all the teams will be aware of what happened to Warwickshire the other day and know all things are possible.
Swept airily for a second, and it goes all the way down to the fielder in the deep from a couple of bounces, and it's just a single. 3 from the over. Another good over from Dhaliwal. Another over which Durham will consider all they need. They're 115 for 4 and 65 to win.
Yeah, they're just ticking along slowly, which I think is fine for them to do. This partnership is built well, and we're going to see Laura Harris have a bowl.
Not her best day with the bat, I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
She walked across one for a golden duck. But she'll now be looking to make amends with the ball. She's bowling with her cap on. Oh, she's bowling with her cap on.
That, do you know what? That doesn't surprise me at all. That feels quite Laura Harris.
Not sure what I think about this. Actually, I know exactly what I think about this.
Harris in and starts with a dot. Hasn't bowled in a professional game since the start of the year. She was playing for Queensland against South Australia.
Well, Surrey, a few bowlers light, so it makes sense that she's having to cover in. No Rihanna McDonald-Gain, no Kalia Moore. So they've got to find those overs from somewhere.
Harrison, and it's an attempted sweep, but will be a dot ball.
That's our first freebie in a while, I reckon.
Yeah. Not had an extra for a while. Harrison, and that's driven down the ground. Will be no run. Harrison, that's banged into the pitch, and they will run through for one. Outside of cricket, Laura Harris works in a hospital, so she's a nurse, and the first time I ever interviewed her, she was just like, oh yeah, I'm just like going on my break. So I was like, oh, are you sure? You know, you work long hours. Do you really want to sit here and chat to me? As that's driven for no run, pops up. It's like misfield. But anyway, she joined the Zoom call, and the first thing I saw was not her face, but it was the lights of an operating theatre. And I was like, oh, like, are you ready? She was like, oh, I've just locked myself in a procedure room, is the direct quote, as that's worked into the leg side.
That's one
for
does.
No run. Well, exactly. And she quite literally had a 10-minute break and was just like, yeah, I'll do it now. And I was just like, that is absolute madness, working these crazy shifts. But it was very memorable, as Harris is in again, and that's just missed the stumps. And in fact, a little bit of chaos. Armitage started to go for the run, but kind of sent herself back, realising Jemima Spence had picked up the ball, and her stumps were very much exposed there. 117 for 4.
What did you talk about in 10 minutes?
All sorts, everything. Yeah, a bit about her cricket. I think Big Bash was on at the time. So talking a bit about that, and yeah, I mean, her and her sister Grace Harris are quite big kind of personalities around Australian cricket, around the domestic circuit, and then Grace Harris as well with the national team. Both very, very funny people, and so I just remember laughing a lot, particularly at the start when I logged on and I was a little bit like miffed by it all.
So Danny Gregory is coming back into the attack. A phenomenal first spell, 6 overs all the way through for just 19 runs. And although she was wicketless, I think she can claim the assist for a fair few that fell at the other end. She started a touch short here, and it's bunted down the ground, across bat from Heather Graham. And it's another long-awaited boundary.
Durham, as much as they're happy to kind of knock off these singles, I think a boundary just kind of eases that pressure a bit, because as we've reiterated, things can change so quickly, and a wicket here or there can make the picture look very, very different.
And that one was very much there to hit, a bit of a loosener from Gregory. That one to touch short as well, and cut away for a single. So you come in from Manchester.
Yes.
How is that trans-Pennine journey?
Do you know what? I actually quite like it. I'm a big fan. When there aren't rail replacement buses, like when it works, it works. But when you're on a rail replacement bus, having woken up at, 5 a.m, 4:45, that's not the one. But you know what? Today, nice and smooth. Had a little nap, got a bit of work done. Quiet. Not many people are on it, so can highly recommend.
I get a single into deep cover. About 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it's about that. Yeah.
Gets you straight into Chester Street?
Yeah, straight into Chester Street. So it's the ideal route. Yeah, it is very handy. Don't need to change or anything. So, yes, it has been very useful the last couple of years to get up to Durham.
It's a lovely part of the country, the Pennines, as well.
It's really beautiful. Yeah. If you do the route across to like Sheffield first, I think Manchester Sheffield is one of the most beautiful train journeys in England. I think it's so beautiful. But yeah, if you just going through the countryside is so lovely, particularly across the Pennines.
It's the pad, but more of a question than an appeal from Danny Gregory. What stations do you pass through on the way?
That is a great question. So it depends which one you get, but normally it goes. So I get on at Manchester Victoria, but before that it's Newton Le Willows and Liverpool Lime Street, and then it goes Huddersfield, Leeds, York, sometimes Northallerton, but then Darlington.
Turned away for a single. We're getting very close here,
Darlington, Durham, Chester Street, Newcastle.
That's the whole line.
Yeah. I've done it many a time.
7 runs from the over, 124 for 4, 56 to win. Which is your favourite station?
Oh, that is a really good one.
Can't have Chester Street, of course.
Yeah, let me think. Like my favourite one to spend time at, or to like just get off the train at.
Do you get off the train mid-journey?
Well, it depends. You know, sometimes I might need to stop somewhere. Sometimes I'm going to go see someone. Or
I see, okay.
Like, I really like York. York's a nice train station.
Isn't it?
Yeah, really nice station. And really close to the city. So it's, like, convenient. So if you do have a rail replacement change there, then it's not too bad. I'm trying to think my other ones. I mean, obviously I don't go past it very much, but sometimes if I'm staying over in Newcastle, I love Newcastle as a city, so I'm always happy to get off there. I'm trying to think the other ones. Darlington I've got off at before. I know nice people in Darlington, but the train station's not much to write home about, as Laura Harris is in. Worked into the leg side for no run.
Go past Durham and you've got the view of the viaduct then the cathedral. That's spectacular.
When I get on the train going back, I'll always sit on like the left facing forward, as that's been slapped straight to Alice Davidson Richards for no run.
I think you could just mouth read Heather Graham and oh my god, how's that not gone through? Because she's absolutely nailed it.
Yeah, that was powerful, and Alice Davidson Richards was a bit like a brick wall there as Harris is in, and
that is
wide.
A compliment as well.
Yes, very much so. But yeah, Durham is beautiful, and if I'm up a day early, sometimes I'll get off at Durham just to have a walk around. As that's been nudged away by Heather Graham. I'm going to push for 2 because it's kind of stopped in the outfield, and in fact they come back for 3. That's really good running between the wickets in this heat.
We had a lovely day on Sunday. It was the summer solstice. A lovely sunny day. And I spent the evening at the racecourse ground.
Oh, lovely.
In the city, and had a wonderful evening.
Harris in once again, full toss. That's been slapped away and punished, and that will be 4.
And these last 2 overs and the game is just slightly slipping away from Surrey. So that brings up the 50 partnership between Graham and Armitage. And it hasn't always been the most exhilarating, but it's been efficient, and just a couple of 4 balls on offer, and that's a waist height, full toss. She's never going to miss out on that.
Yeah, Laura Harris looked disappointed with that. She kind of had she was like pinching the bridge of her nose in frustration, as that again has been slapped away, and will it pierce the 2 fielders? It will. Back-to-back boundaries. And Durham just need 44 to win now. Durham 136 for 4. This over so far has cost Surrey 12. We've got Charlotte Lambert as a sub-fielder fielding in front of us. Harrison bounces just before Davidson Richards. And that will wrap up quite an expensive over. .30 overs gone, 20 to go and 44 to win.
And that is the big pressure release that we've been after. 2 runs and over required from here on in. However, that equation changes dramatically if a wicket can fall. The DLS par is currently 100, while Durham at 136. This is just a phenomenal place to watch cricket. As is the racecourse ground. I don't know if you've ever visited.
I haven't actually been in person.
It's by the river. You've got the castle just above
beautiful.
you. And it's a lovely place to watch cricket with a good banked hill. So you get some good numbers there. It's Graham on strike to Gregory. Another single out to deep cover, where Schofield's done quite a lot of fielding. Had a lovely time. It was more or less the end of term, so a lot of the uni kids have gone home, but there were still some about playing football and frisbee and whatnot. And lots of people sitting by the river enjoying the sunshine on the longest day of the year. It's a special place, the city of Durham, in that summer period when the students are done with exams and they head on down to the racecourse and sit on the outfield all day long. Or if there's a game on, they'll sit on the boundary, and you get some good numbers for the uni games down there, both for the men and the women. It's a privileged place to be able to watch and play cricket. Forward, and it takes the pad. I'm not sure if there was a bit of bat on the way through as well, but there's no short leg in place. And Armitage, the striker's end, on 48, is having a stellar season, and this would just be another feather in her cap. Especially if this side can go on and chase it down. Leg side, and that will be a wide. We haven't had many of those from Danny Gregory, that's for sure. This partnership, just by staying there, just by building time, has built the foundations for them to just accelerate the scoring as they have in the recent overs. Leg side again, and it's given us a wide, so I'm not sure there was any bat on that. It's signalled as 5 wides, 5 freebies from Danny Gregory, and that's 6 of them in the last 2 deliveries. And after her first 6 over spell, well, I wouldn't have seen that coming.
No, I don't think I've seen so many 5 wides in a game. There have been a number of them today in both innings. 37 now to win for Durham.
I shall have to re-bowl again. Pulled away from Armitage as she just settles for the single with 5, 6, 7, 8 runs now already scored off the over. That's more than, well, it's now 4 times what they need per over. Short. And hit to Beth Miles in the cover. Just 38 to win. However, that number can seem much bigger if there are a couple of quick wickets. Surrey definitely not out of it, although Durham undoubtedly well out on top. Short and turned away to long on for a single, and Heather Graham will retain the strike at the end of the over. Let's do some counting. 5, 6, 7, 8. I make that 10 off it.
9.
9.
I think.
Oh, the counting's never been my forte. Either way, it's 35 to win.
Yeah, the same stage. Sorry, 148 for 6. They, of course, had that collapse in their final 5 overs. But 35 to win.
Well, a few overs ago you said your money was on Durham. That's currently looking like a pretty safe shout. Stick or twist?
I'm sticking with it. I think Durham have got this. I think if they did lose from here, it would be an absolute disaster for them.
Yeah, if they lost from here, it would be very much them chucking it away rather than Surrey going out and winning it, I reckon.
Izzy Sidhu is returning from the Finkerland. Graham on 29. Her top score for Durham. And Holly Armitage on 49 at the non-strikers end. Sidhu 0 for 13 from her 2 overs. Starts with a dot. Dabbed away by Graham. That's a lovely shot. Fielder in pursuit and will get there. So they just stick with the 1 run.
They almost came back for 2.
Yeah. I think Graham was probably a bit further down the track than Armitage, but it would have been a bit risky at this stage. Armitage on 49. Big swing through to the keeper. $34 to win. Armitage dabs that away and will be through for her 50. Holly Armitage, the Durham captain, bringing up her 50 from 77 balls, including 4 boundaries. And it's been a pretty crucial innings for Durham in this low chase. She'll want to stick there to the very end. Her job isn't done. 33 to win. But it's a continuation of her fantastic form. As Graham on 30 is now on strike. Sidhu in. It's been clipped into the leg side. Rachel King running in off the boundary. $32 to win.
Yeah, it's a terrific half century from the skipper. It's the 8th time this year she's passed 50. She hasn't motored through it, but she hasn't needed to, and she's anchored the innings beautifully.
Once again, just dabbled away really well. Happy to run the singles. And that wraps up the over. 4 from it, 149 for 4. 31 to win for Durham.
And a word as well for Heather Graham, who came in under a little bit of pressure at 81 for 4, having lost 2 quick wickets. And if she was to depart soon after that, then the game could have been very different, but she's stayed put and stayed by the side of her captain. And they're basically striking at the same rate, almost exactly at 65. They've rotated the strike nicely. They've batted as a pair. Gregory to continue. Oh, hello. Those are the same shoes as we had yesterday. I got very excited just then, Stevie, all of a sudden. Because I'm very interested, Polly, to hear your opinion on these shoes. So Stevie and Ross, it is the number 17 for Surrey. He's got some intriguing shoes on, or some shoes that have at least been the topic of conversation here on the Durham live stream over the past week.
Full toss. It's the boot of Armitage, who doesn't know where it ends up. Now, here we go. So they're a blue and maroon number.
Yeah.
What do you think of those?
I don't quite have words. They are interesting. I couldn't see myself wearing them, but I think Rachel King pulls them off.
The reverse paddle is played perfectly. Will it have the legs? No, it's Izzy Sidhu who has the legs. And they run 3 very well. Excellent batting all round, which brings up the 150 for Durham, although that number won't be as interesting to them as the much smaller number, which is how many runs left to win. And that is just 28. Well, it doesn't look as bad on the black outfit. It's the fact that earlier it was on an all-white red ball outfit, which made them stand out a little bit more.
That's not very smart, no.
Driven. And I wonder if we can just have a look at the shoes of the number 18, Izzy Sidhu, who ran towards us, because they also look a bit fun.
So Rachel King, when you say with the white, that to me that screams wearing trainers with your school uniform.
Okay, it's the same ones that Izzy Sidhu's got on, and that's exactly what it
Yes.
looked like.
Yeah, that's what I feel like with the black. It works a little bit more.
It almost looked like wearing pre-match trainers rather than match spikes. That's the end of the over. It's 152 for 4.
Just 28 to win. Durham need 152 for 4. Armitage on 54 and Graham on 31. We can see the aforementioned trainers there, which Izzy Sidhu is wearing. Definitely interesting spike. I think what's most notable about the spikes, I don't know if they're the exact same, is the bright blue sole as Izzy Sidhu is in, and it's defended for no run.
Yeah, it makes them very visible when they run.
Yeah.
And we might at the end of the over see if we can get one of those players running between the fielding positions. Because it's like a blue flash.
Yeah. Sidhu in again, 28 to win, and hands on ahead. It will just go down to dot ball. I don't know why, but the first, and this is quite topical, the first thing that came to mind when I saw them was Toy Story. I feel like I think the bright colours, there's something about it that feels kind of Toy Story. As this one's driven. I tell you what it is, it's Toy Story 4. It's the same colours as like it's not a spork, is it? Do you know Toy Story 4?
I've not seen it actually. I stopped at 3.
It's fair enough.
Might restart with 5 though.
It's been parried away. A shout of 2 from Armitage. And they're going to stick to the 2. Do you know what I mean?
It's got
the
blue
same
and red on it,
colours.
yeah.
I don't know why that was where immediately my brain went. But
Now a spork is one of the more useful instruments out there, I reckon. It's better than a spoon knife, I think.
It depends what you're eating. Sidhu in, and this is driven straight to Laura Harris.
I just think a spork will be more useful for more things
Yeah,
than a
that's true.
spoon knife.
Yeah. If you had to pick one to have all the time, you would go for the spork.
What if you could only choose a spoon or a fork?
Sidhu to wrap up her over. And they're quick to run between the wickets.
So I think there's only one correct answer to what would you use for the rest of your life, a spoon or a fork. And I'm pretty strongly opinionated on this. Opinionated.
I mean, personally, I'd go spoon. Is that the right
Correct,
answer?
yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Because you can do basically
Yeah.
everything a fork can do and more.
Yeah. I mean, imagine trying to eat soup with a fork.
And there's the argument.
Like that.
You can't do
That would
it.
be a long winter.
You've got to drink the soup, which, to be
Yeah.
fair, is definitely possible.
Yeah.
But a spoon is just a fork, but slightly better. It's not often you really need to prong something.
Yeah, that's true. And I feel like if you just use the spoon viciously enough, it does what a fork does.
I think if it's the only thing I could use for the rest of my life, there are a few moments
Yeah.
at which I'd think, oh, I wish I had a fork. There'd be a lot of
Yeah.
moments where I'd say, oh, I wish I had a spoon.
That is very true. Yeah. Yeah, spoons are definitely more useful.
Spoons are
Also,
great.
imagine like trying to stir your cup of tea with a fork. Like,
I
that would just
I
be
think that
weird.
works. It's like how you would mix a cake batter, trying to get
Yeah,
the
but-
air into it.
The thing is, you would then have to you'd have to use like a cake fork because you're not getting like a massive fork to.
La-di-da.
It's just weird to do that. No,
No, there's no real equivalent of a tea fork.
no, that's what I was like, you don't. The only little ones you get, I guess, are cake forks. But
Yeah.
who owns cake forks? Not me.
Cake enthusiasts, presumably. Although that's another thing you can eat with a spoon. So
Yeah, very true. Very
I
true.
don't know if there are any strong opinions on this on the live stream, but anyone who's willing to go toe to toe with me who would choose a fork, then you're welcome to take me on. Just 25 runs left to win as the players enjoy a rehydration, which has been a big topic of discussion across the World Cup, not the Cricket World Cup, but the Football World Cup over in the
Yeah.
US.
I mean, to be fair, it slightly has been actually a little bit with the Cricket World Cup because it's also being used as kind of an advertisement break. Yeah, and also players running out drinks when, the umpire's like, well, you don't need to do that. There's been a little bit of that. But yeah, definitely with the Football World Cup, I feel like everything's been happening. I saw there was a lot of bad weather as well. It's all going on.
I guess the only difference with the advert breaks in cricket is that adverts are already commonplace in cricket.
Yes, yeah.
Whereas for football, this is a new thing.
Yeah.
Danny Gregory to bowl her 10th and final over of the day. She's probably been the pick of the Surrey bowlers. I imagine we'll see Bryony Smith come back later, who started brilliantly when she opened the bowling. Reverse paddle again. Not quite as much on it this time, but enough to squeeze through for a single. But by the time Bryony Smith does come back on, she may not have a lot of runs to play with. Full and forward. Good areas from Danny Gregory. She's got I'd say a much more orthodox pair of white spikes, although the sole of those is pretty interesting. Bright orange. Might just be able to see it here. The bottom of her soles. Very colourful indeed. Forward and defending again. Although the orange sole blends in with the colour of the surface a bit more than the blue one
Yeah,
does.
I don't mind a coloured sole. I think that looks quite nice.
It's a bit fun. It's like
Yeah.
having work socks on. It's just, you're allowed a bit of fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Schofield will cover round, keep it to a single. It's like you've got your smart shirt on, you've got your chinos on, you're ready for
Yeah.
work, and no one knows you've got a pair of bright yellow socks on.
Exactly. I don't know if you've ever seen Maddie Ward and Claudie Cooper for Yorkshire. They both wear fluorescent pink spikes. Like the whole shoe is like fluorescent pink. It's great to try and spot them in the field. Actually, it makes them very identifiable.
Swept for a single. Oh, they're coming back for two, and that's really good running. Just
a bit slow in the outfield. And they managed to steal a single. Another run, my apologies. Ollie Armitage coming back to the striker's end. Annie Gregory dummies that first one. She'll come back in again, clicking the ball like an off spinner, and then she'll deliver her leg spinner. Driven Paige Schofield in the outfield. They come back for two. Again, good running. There's a lot of space. It's one of the biggest outfields in the country. And they're making good use of every inch of it. It's the end of another productive over. And we're into the teens, just 19 to win.
Yeah, they've been running really well between the wickets. Haven't always been able to find the boundary, but really good calling. 161 for 4. And they've got ages to get these 19 overs. Izzy Sidhu in, and this has been slapped away. It's racing towards the boundary. 2 fielders in pursuit. It slows up in the outfield, so will be picked up. But this running is incredible. Really, really good work between Armitage and Graham. They take 3. Just 16 to win. Armitage 62 not out, tapping her bat, and she goes to first paddle it. It's racing away for 4, and it will just about make it with Bethan Miles in pursuit. So just 12 to win.
It's a shot she's played really well and has crept into her game the more runs she's added to her total.
Once again, the same shot, this time a little bit wider, so there's no chance for the fielders to reach. And that back-to-back 4s so far, 11 from the over, just 8 to win now. And Bryony Smith and Laura Harris are both speaking to Izzy Sidhu.
And why not continue playing that shot? There's a massive gap there. It's maybe the 5th time she's played it, so she's very confident and comfortable playing that. And I wonder if they are just going to plug that gap now. They are. And now that same gap exists just on the leg side, so I wonder if she's going to do a conventional paddle. But it's really clever batting, and she's just manipulating the field expertly.
Sidhu in past the umpire. That's been slapped, but just meets Laura Harris, who does a full-length dive, preventing the boundary, hobbling as she gets up. 172 for 4. 8 to win. Armitage on 70. Armitage rocking back, moving across her crease. Can't get it away. Goes for the scoop. gets hold of it, is racing towards the boundary. Rachel King, though, is there to cut it off. She has covered so much ground to get there. The pair do run a 2, which means 13 have come from the over. 6 runs to win.
That's what I was saying. Is that if they moved the fielder to the other side, the gap opened up and she hit it there, which is one of the most satisfying things as a batter, when you force the opposition into moving their field and then you just hit it in the new gap. It's one of the most frustrating things as a captain and as a bowler. As it looks like Alice Davidson Richards replaces her cap and glasses, so she's not going to bowl. It's going to be Bethan Miles who is changing ends. Now going to try from the Lumley end. Though she's not been given much of a chance, just 6 runs to play with. But she's another one who's bowled beautifully. 7 overs, she's taken 2 for 21. But that is through the gap. And Heather Graham punches it all the way to the ropes. And now it's just 2 to win. There's the ground staff getting ready on the side of the pitch with their all-terrain vehicles and lawnmowers. This game feels all but over. Punched away again. This time Bryony Smith fields athletically. Although she hurt her knee. No, she's okay. There is that all-terrain vehicle. Thing of beauty. Miscued, but still going to get a single. Rachel King gets down. So the score's a level. Just 1 to win. And 13.3 overs in which to get it. It's been a dominant display from Durham. And fittingly, it's the captain, Holly Armitage, who wins the game and will end on 76 as this partnership reaches 100. Durham, from start to finish, have been the better team today. And it's a convincing win by 6 wickets.
Yeah, really strong from Durham, who got the job done in the end. They didn't get flustered about the run chase, even though it was a low one. And this partnership between Heather Graham and Holly Armitage was absolutely essential. In the first innings, Katie Levick and Maddie Villiers bowled superbly and set Durham up really nicely for the run chase, and Durham are back to winning ways against a strong Surrey side who were 3rd in the table.
And it's a win perhaps they weren't expected to get before the day's play. Surrey coming into the game off the back of a big win. Durham off a loss, but with changes in for both sides, it's the home side who have come out on top on a glorious sunny day at the Banks Homes Riverside. So all that's left for us to do is thank everybody for tuning in. Thanks to everybody in our production and broadcasting suite, Stevie and Ross, to all the ground staff and everyone who makes it possible, to Sam and Harry upstairs, and from me, George Gompertz, and from Polly Starkey, goodbye.